Well, I know, but I'm reading chat telling us that we're late by, I don't know, 5 seconds. We're punctual. We're here. I'm not watching a fight. I'm instead live on the coziest show for a Friday night at evening.
Yeah, the fight will probably go on by the time we're done, so...
It'll give us something to talk about next Tuesday when we're back on our normal schedule.
Yeah, that's true.
How was your trip?
Oh, it was all right. I bought this little microphone, but I don't know. I didn't spring for the the one Sam Sulek has, like $500. I'm not gonna my microphone here is like $300, but it's good enough quality. But I recorded videos, which I shouldn't do, just with it facing the the dash. What I should have done was just taken my awesome notes, and it has the voice note option, and it comes out the audio comes out cleaner. So I'm like, oh man, I didn't have to put everything through YouTube and wait an hour for one 30-minute video and then just strip the audio. Instead, I could just upload an audio file. I don't know, boomer tech moment. So yeah, it turns an hours long drive into you'd be surprised at how quick, you know what I mean? You'd be surprised how quick things go when you don't when you're not just listening to things when you drive. I don't know, is that how Americans do? I mean,
I listen to music when I have lengthy car rides, but I
listen to podcasts. Yeah,
I have some CDs that I listen to for some concert stuff or some choir assembly things. But outside of that, it's a great way. I can measure certain pieces and movements based along how long my drive is. So my average routine, I can get through X number of movements of this CD if I leave work right now, or if I leave for work right now, or vice versa, and things like that. Or I can, I know this stretch of road lasts, this one particular song in particular. But yeah, I have CDs. My car is old enough to still have a CD drive, although it does have an aux cord. Although I have a lengthy CD collection, so I still enjoy the music that I have.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So what? I can't. So it's a couple. I don't want to do the whole hours. Well, have you gotten into that point? Do Canadians do that where they measure their distances via how long it takes to get there via car?
I think so. Yeah, it depends. If you're a suburbanite, then yes, you do that. But if you live in a big city, a lot of people that live in Toronto or Vancouver, especially Vancouver, a lot of people don't drive. But yeah, basically that's how I measure it. I'm getting to the point where, not to disclose the city that I frequent because that's just not good.
Of course.
But it's fairly close to Canada, put it that way. But I'm getting used to judging the distance by hours. But then sometimes when I'm recording, I recorded an hour, which will be the public version of Content Minded. So if the audio isn't the best, forgive me. But I think the content's pretty fire. It's I just woke up and oh man, I'm in Pennsylvania already. I'm almost at Ohio. And so it's man, because that's the thing, where I live in Niagara, the Niagara region, it's so close to every major East Coast city, and that's why I think they say that our airspace above the Niagara region is the busiest, one of the busiest airspaces in the world. So this makes sense because people that's going to New York or going to Toronto or going to Montreal or Chicago. Chicago. I shouldn't say that. My girlfriend's yeah, when you say Chicago, it's a boomer joke. That's it's funny after the 5,000th time, but after the 5,001 time, it's not funny anymore. A Bap would say Ape Freaka. That'd be pretty funny. I'm lurking Blue Sky because I'm actually trying to find this blog, the Substack, by this Antifa adjacent person. I think his name's Elad a lot of moods, something, but like it's called "We're at the First Stage of Fascism." I'm like, I gotta read that. Maybe I'll do a call report on it. But like, it was very funny. Like, it's very funny lurking what leftoids have to say about the election, and it's incredible. It's amazing. But anyways, yeah. So it says episode
108.
108, yeah.
Then
108,
we
108.
well,
Remember that stupid? Are you too young to remember that fucking?
There's a 3-year age gap between us. So it depends on what you're referencing, buddy.
Black Eye, wasn't it a Black Eyed Peas song?
308, I think so. Like the song, there was.
I remember like you couldn't escape that song for a little while, and it's like Napoleon Bonaparte. It's like Napoleon Dynamite. You, like, couldn't escape it for very long, and it's just like, now what are you gonna do?
You really can't do much about that, no.
Well,
although I think the top what was the 2008? What the hell was it? Apologize by One Republic was probably one of the biggest songs that came out.
Or that Soldier Boy song.
And Katy Perry, Vida La Vida. Oh wow, okay. Well, this was like I'm surprised that there hasn't been those sort of you know how there's all those YouTube channels for like playlists about, you know, oh, you finally ran away with the one person who understands you, and it's like a playlist of like some weird instrumentals and some songs. I'm surprised there isn't one where it's like you're witnessing your future melt away as you party right in the outskirts of, like, I don't know, Goldman Sachs, and it's just like, that would be fun. If we're gonna do some pessimistic nostalgia, why not have, like, I don't know, Great Recession core music playlist? It could be like I Kissed a Girl, Vida La Vida, and then like a whole bunch of like indie shit that no one listened to except maybe 20 guys, and you're like, huh, this is pretty good. And you know, it'd be a good time.
What's that really popular Killers song that, like, it's like it's like just as memed as Little Dark Age?
Oh, Mr. Brightside?
Yeah. I saw that one that Patrick Casey replied to. It's called Little Riz, Mr. Riz Side, and like I couldn't get it out of my head. It was just like it's like Sigma in my aura in my Sigma eyes. It's like that was like that was too much, man. That was too much. Skibbity, joking while you put your fries in my bag or something. It was just like, anyway.
At a certain point, Cap, it's just going to be, for those who are listening to the audio version of this, Capitalissimo says, and the yes. And it's just like, well, at that point, it's just going to be whatever the hell was popular on Guitar Hero in 2009 when that got popular, and that's all it's going to be.
Yeah, it's like whatever was on Guitar Hero. Like, Guitar Hero did introduce like kids to like a lot of music, but then a lot of it was kind of cool. Like, remember that one, like, wasn't that who did that song? Was it Trivium that did Through the Fire and Flame? Remember that? It was like,
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, like there was a meme song, but then of course, like of course MySpace was instrumental in like a lot of kids discovering like I knew, like, because, you know, I was like a metalhead. Sorry, Dragon Force, not Trivium, Dragon Force. And like MySpace did introduce, like, that was the metalcore era where like for example, like everyone because of MySpace, everyone knew about like The Faceless or Jobs for a Cowboy. Like everyone was listening to Entombment of a Machine. Like, you know what I mean? So like, yeah, I think like there's definitely something to it, but then that sort of like went by the wayside. But it's funny I bring up MySpace because I was lurking this one particular Antifa journalist on Blue Sky, because apparently I think he locked his account on Twitter and he left. Our favorite journalist. No, well, WikiLeaks. Our favorite journalist in the Guardian. And he said that that Blue Sky feels like from Twitter to Blue Sky feels like the transition from MySpace to Facebook. I'm like, bro, no, that's like the biggest cope I've ever heard in my life.
It's just Blue Gab. That's all this is. It's Blue Gab.
Gab, yeah.
It's Libby Gab. That's really all that it's going to be. Although I think that, you know what, screw it. We'll dive right into this blue sky stuff because I find this to be really entertaining. Hello, Blue Devil. I'm not going to respond to that, but I do agree. I find it really entertaining to watch all these people do the dramatic, like, stomp their feet, clap their hands, I'm gonna leave, pull down my, and it's just like, okay, great. You're doing the dramatic exit. You have to signal to all your friends that I am on baby's padded room echo chamber. We're so upset that, like, this big evil billionaire, I think it was like the New York Mag's Intelligencer that just put out an article that was like how Elon Musk went from superhero to supervillain. And it's just like, oh man, here we go. At least it's not a Harry Potter reference because, obviously we can't have TERFs running around this lefty movement. But to see all these people depart, it's a particular interesting case of watching technocratic power do what it does best.
Yeah.
Which is shape norms and force people out of areas in which they do that. And now we're used to it because we're on the right. And we've witnessed for the last 4 years in particularly, really the last 10 on Twitter, where it has been more or less a creeping bit of censorship. It forced this high-pressure evolutionary environment where you knew how to throw people out the Overton window without necessarily getting yourself banned. And, of course, if you did get banned, on your, 20th account. Look at our friend Martin, who's been doing that. But, I mean, so these guys get electorally kicked in the nuts, and they're like, okay, I want to take my toys and I want to go home. And that's fine. Okay. Plenty of you guys want to do that anyway. Like, I want to go to take my toys and talk to my fellow based right-wingers. And it's just like Gab, Parler, Telegram, Truth Social. Now, I will say this. There is
Ancient Giga Chad, Truth Social.
Truth Social. You remember the dissenter extension for, what was it, Gab? Or, remember Minds?
Remember Minds.com? I was going to say, I remember Minds.com.
What happened to Mastodon? I think that just became a place for people to share very illicit material without getting particularly in trouble.
There was sub-Mastodons of that Antifa people would congregate in, but nowhere.
Yeah. And where people are going to also share whatever stuff that they're not supposed to share on Twitter.
Yeah, Discord.
Remember Threads? Remember Dig?
Threads, Dig. Yeah, Dig.
Remember
Reddit buried Dig.
Yeah. Remember the D mainstream YouTube extension from Gab that blocks every corporate news channel? Yeah.
Remember Fark? That guy was such an asshole. He became I think Trump broke his brain too, but
well, Trump broke a lot of people's brains. I mean, it's been crazy. It's crazy. Next year is the anniversary of where he comes down the escalator.
Oh!
And it's just like, wow, the last 10 years of politics have been Trumpian era. Again, I think Sandbach had a tweet that broke containment for him, where it got quite a bit of views, where it was just like, he is one of the first few people in politics, or he's made a name for himself in politics where this era is known by his name in the same way like the Jacksonian era is known by Andrew Jackson. But back to this blue sky thing real quick. I've noticed where so Elon Musk had tweeted out a few days ago saying that you are the mainstream media. Okay, interesting. Let's expand on that. What does media become nowadays when it comes to reporting the news? It's become social media. It's heavily predicated on fandom. It's heavily predicated on the parasocial, and it's heavily predicated on the opinionated lens of analysis. Very few places will do that whole, we're objective, we're going to cut through the editorial bullcrap. That used to be a really big thing in the early free speech wars at the beginning of a lot of, I guess what you'd call from 2012 onward. The first 5 years from 2012 to 2017 was really emphatic on having objective-based news and continuing the dialectic and maintaining the dialogue. And I mean, there are some people out there that feel like the last Japanese soldier on an island in the 1970s who never surrendered. I'm thinking about you, Dave, the distributist. You're like, I still want to have my dialogue. And it's like, I appreciate everything that you do. And of course, objective journalism was always a myth. But we're just going back to the age-old era of partisan news where, we would have Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton talk about each other's moms and call each other black in newspapers under pseudonyms. But on top, and we still do that today, we just use harsher words that would get you banned.
Yeah.
But to witness all these people
not on
leave,
Twitter though. I've seen people tweet that on Twitter and not.
Oh yeah, like Zero HP Lovecraft just recently.
Yeah.
Although I think he got hit pretty hard algorithmically for doing that. So back to all this. So he tweets out, "We are the mainstream media." So Twitter is under Elon Musk or X, whatever you want to call it, has become, and we're also streaming there. So hello to our Twitter people. Hello, Fire Mage. Hello, Varus. All the people in chat from the Twitter section. What's being put out is now he wants it to be the everything place.
Yeah.
And so this is why I still think that there's value, and it's why I haven't abandoned places like Gab, like Telegram, or my Rumble channel or whatever, in part because you don't know how long this is going to last. I don't know how long this era of good feelings is going to go, especially as we move into Elon having some kind of role with the Trump administration, even if it's
that will shield him for 4 years if he is in the
Trump sure. No, it shields him for 4 years, and especially now that he's actually doing he got Doge to actually happen, this Department of Governmental Efficiency, or Government Efficiency. But
Department of Propaganda and Public Enlightenment.
Oh yeah, why not?
That's pretty funny.
Why not? So, but okay, this is becoming an everything app. He wants to make this place better for live streaming. He wants to make this place better for articles, subscriptions, money. You get your ad revenue payout, which, full disclosure, I do get paid for my tweets. It's not very much. It takes care of my energy, like my utility bill. But outside of that, it's turning into the same thing that YouTube was at the very beginning. It's meant to be this place where everyone goes for their discursive aspect. And for right now, yeah, it's pretty safe in terms for a lot of old head accounts got reinstated and things like that. The problem is that by saying you are the mainstream media, I kind of am looking at this in a Deleuzian way, in which you have a control society. Like, you think you're in control, but if you speak out on, say, certain political issues that even sometimes would get you banned off YouTube, you may run the risk of getting deplatformed, demonetized, and whatever, and you might see a repeating of the cycle that we saw with YouTube and other things in around 2015, 2014, which would be a real tragedy with like adpocalypse and things like that. But we've seen it before. Now, I'm not saying that Elon is going to go as hardcore, because he's obviously not as left-wing as Parag or, Wojcicki YouTube and things like that. Oh, man, Susan Wojcicki, that feels old just to say. And I
have this thing, speaking of traveling, I did record this rant about YouTube, more about
yeah, go ahead.
Certain people, if they weren't banned, they would be mega popular, even if you don't necessarily agree with them. But if YouTube were to even lax a little bit of the restrictions like Twitter has, within reason, of course, not being able to harass people or whatever, but that would be a total systems collapse for the transnational progressive regime if they were to just if they were to lax YouTube. I think they would be over. It would be over for them. That's just who knows, but a lot of people that were banned, they would be mega popular, even if they were to go along with the times and just clean their act up a little bit. And if certain, let's call them IRL blunders never happened, they would be big. I could easily imagine it, certain podcast networks would be really big. But anyways, yeah, go ahead, Prude.
No, and I think that's definitely true. However, the algorithm is just as much of the algorithm is part of the financial incentive.
Yeah.
And we know that payouts on X are vastly different than sort of that normie centrism slop. Or also YouTube as well, right? But it doesn't... if you're someone who's just sort of a meme aggregator or the engagement bait, retweet if you agree, or what do you think type thing, which feels
schizo, or what's that schizo, whatever.
It feels like I'm back in time with Facebook,
those cool accounts, yeah.
The evolutionary tree, I feel, almost goes back to the chain email, and I'm pretty sure that that's what it is, right? It's just the retweet if you agree, or like for this, whatever, and it's just the same thing. Forward if you agree, forward if you want to save yourself from X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, the only tolerable based coal account would be Seth. Surf. He's doing really good. But then there's other ones that are just obnoxious, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, go ahead.
You don't want to name anyone in particular there, Gio. But no, I mean, there's a lot
I
of
might be on one of their shows too soon, so I gotta. No, but like end wokeness or
Well, isn't end wokeness been concluded that it's Jack Posobiec's project?
Is it?
I'm pretty sure some lefties did some schizo analysis for that.
Yeah, he probably hires a few guys just to like crib articles and tweets and
just like a dozen other accounts on the timeline that do that.
Yeah.
But like no name, like retweet if but like this is retweet if true cell, ignore if fake cell. Congratulations, I read that out loud.
I'm gonna retweet that right now.
Retweet if true cell, ignore if fake cell. That would be great. But so Gio, you should tweet that out. And
Rezeused,
yes.
If true with a V, true cell.
Oh my!
I was gonna put nor. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, don't
ignore if fake.
But I mean, this is how you have the consensus making apparatus work at play. Is our friend Enoch's not that Enoch, but another Enoch Powell on Twitter had pointed out. Like what makes normies is how quickly they obey and adhere to social norms. And if you change the norms, you change how normies think. Well, the same thing about creators and aggregators of news and political talking points is that most of these people are going to respond to the financial incentive, and it's not just finances. It's also about what actually gets you seen, which means you have to obey the algorithm in here. So now we've witnessed a centralized power take place. You've kind of gotten your based CEO here, who does respond to things. I mean, Elon Musk just responded to like Loki Julianus just the other day, and he's responded to other old head and frog accounts. But so by saying like, oh, you're the media now, I mean, okay, great. We're now just engaging in a form of cybernetics where this more centralized CEO authority is interacting with the people. And I get it, the whole Vox Populi, Vox Dei thing.
Like leftoids are right. Like Elon is engaging with actual fascists. It's true. It's not.
But my point being, is this not the triumph of the technocratic power?
No, exactly. Yeah.
This is the triumph of the technocrats. How long this lasts remains to be seen. I think, however, like the Californian ideology does kind of give you a pretty decent model that says as long as he gets to make his money and as long as he gets to build his rockets, he's gonna let the fashy anonymous anime profile picture accounts run rampant on X until it hurts his bottom line. And I don't think it's going to hurt his bottom line because apparently there's all these reports that say, oh, these accounts are coming back to, advertise on X to get cozy with the new administration. And it's like, politics have resumed as normal. Things are going the way that they have. And, the reposting legions are standing back and standing by, hoping that someone who @Elon Musk gets enough eyes on that tweet that he himself responds to you. But I'm noticing this retreat where lefties are like, I'm taking my toys and going home. Joyanne Reed is gone. The Don Lemon is gone. Like, good. I'm glad that you're gone. It does suck. I will say this, though. I know Will Stansel's also on Blue Sky, but he's still tweeting on Twitter.
He's the last soldier upon
he is like, just libtardation's strongest soldier, even though he's hated by so much of his progressive colleagues. Nature is healing, libtards in the virus.
I love how leftoids got duped by actual socialistic nationalists to hate Will Stansel. That's very funny. It's like they got duped by the far right into hating one of their own.
Well, I don't think they got duped into. I don't think it's duping into hating him because of with the far right saying anything. It's just they're duping into hating us. It's like, oh, it's a straight white male.
Yeah,
true. And again, this goes back to the whole lack of introspection from the left, which has been really joyful. This brings me joy because they're just like, well, we should just double down on all the things that we did in this election cycle in the last several years. And I'm like, oh, please do. Mm-hmm. However, I'm sure we will see some strategy changes in the coming year ahead. However, in this sort of reeling in the aftermath, when everyone sort of takes a loss in the kabuki theater that is our electoral politics in America, to witness this lack of introspection they have put themselves, as Nightmare Vision described it, in a conceptual and really just a metaphysical prison. There are dogmas in which they cannot cross, or I am no longer a good leftist. And I don't want to be like those post-lib guys. And I don't want to be those post-left dirtbag types.
I don't want to
either.
be like
I don't want to be like Chapo Trap House or anything like that.
I don't want to be like Amy Therese.
I don't want to be like Amy Therese. Well, I'll hold my tongue. And I was like, I don't want to be like them. And so
I want to be like Sam Chris, who like has a dialogue with Moldbug. I want to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. No, but the thing is, like, the blue sky thing is interesting because, like,
they've crystallized themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
And I wrote that for the OGC this morning. You can go check that out. I called it the anti-fascist ARG, which I'll go into a little bit in a minute here. But it's just like, yeah, they've crystallized themselves. They've ran away, and they've taken their toys and gone home. And I forgot about I love this. This is from Plixany. Oh, shiggity shit, I need to talk about the boys. I forgot about the boys. What do I do? All these men have abandoned me.
I wonder if like all these
men I've called trash for years. What am I going to do about the boys? And it's just like, well, nothing now, man. Like your option, like nothing.
You lost young men forever. I mean, apart from like okay, I noticed.
Because who wants to listen to like this? What's his name? Dean Winters or whatever, or Harry Sisson, or even Destiny, or Hassan Piker. I mean, I'll give Hassan credit for at least not looking like complete trash, even though he looks metrosexual as all hell. But like, you look at Destiny, you look at Harry Sisson, you look at these sort of like lefty avatars for what's supposed to be presumably heterosexual men trying to provide a progressive vision for America. It's not working. And I know that sounds so like, it only works on like far left Zoomer, like a lot of them. Well, let's say that they have different backgrounds than like the average chud, but like, oh sure,
the white men that
they're all rich, and they're all like actors or whatever.
Yeah, and like the white men that do sway left, especially far left, they all tend to be soillennials. Like they all tend to be like pushing 35, 40.
Yeah, the irony lefty.
Yeah, like that guy, guy that Nightmare Vision. I found out his name. His name is on TikTok, News Dude DOODE. Mm-hmm. And he like was coping so hard about the election and how Donald Trump's going to redact people by the millions for getting elected, and that but that's the thing, they literally believe that Donald Trump, just by merely getting in office, is going to result in all of their pet activist groups going through like mass extinction events or something, or like like he's gonna like Holodomor them or something. Like it's insanity, right? But yeah, Swan Marcus comes to mind, obviously. But Swan Marcus, he didn't start off as a lefty. He started off as like an Ian Miles Chungus, like anti-woke grifter. But then he realized that like, oh, I actually hate chuds, and I have to like become this most insufferable irony cell that like.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm gonna find out, Volpez.
Yeah, he's still defiant. By defiant meaning he gets paid by Act Blue. But there was this tweet by
but is he still on Twitter? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah, he's still on Twitter, okay. I think. Yeah. No, but there's this tweet by this big like leftist coal account. Like, you're mentioning the old Facebook videos.
Oh yeah.
Like Occupy Democrats became very popular because of those Facebook coal videos, right? But like this other coal account from the left.
And it was the OG wall of text meme. Because it would be like a picture of like, an unflattering picture of a Republican or whatever, and it's just like, the Republicans want to cut this entitlement. It's just like blah 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 blah. It's like, Sheriff, you agree that we need to like vote them out this November, and it's just like, holy shit, it's been a wall of text the entire time, and it's like, yes, Theo, you'll know that it's all walls of texts.
Look at what No Name said. Like, that's brilliant. I woke up in a black FEMA box. You get that reference, Prude?
Yes.
That comes from Endgame by Megadeth. Yeah. I woke up in a black FEMA box. Darkness was all around. That's when they had Chris Broderick. That was like one of the best eras of Megadeth, when they had Chris Broderick and like Dave Mustaine was on Alex Jones. which we will get to. Apparently, InfoWars he got back, but there's this tweet by one of these big cool accounts called Call to Activism. Do you remember Call to Activism?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. This is the most insufferable, like, F-slur tweet I've ever seen. It's a picture of his kid, whoever runs the account. It says, yesterday I visited my son's school. First of all, listen, if you have children, don't post their faces on social media.
Don't post your family on social media if you engage in actually, just Facebook. As a general rule, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Like, if I ever have kids one day, like, I would never.
You will never see their faces. I would never post my girlfriend's face. Never. It's just a moral hazard. Unless, like, you're with someone who's, like, a public person, that's obviously different. But, like, say if you're a woman, you're a public person, you have kids, if you must post your kids, please, God, at least censor their faces. Anyways, Call to Activism. Yesterday I visited my son's school and I saw a bright colored bench in the yard. Oh, that's very good metaphor. I asked if it was new. He said to me, no, that's my friend's bench. When someone is down, they'll sit there so others can find them if they get lost. To me, that's how finding blue sky feels. Follow us if you're like a friend. Blue sky is the rainbow bench to find your friends. Wow, that's crazy, right? That's like that. I saw that, and it was like something just boiled my blood. Like in the chat, someone made a joke. Let me find it who it was. And by the way, need those super chats for Prude. I did make, last episode. The super chats are pretty good, but please, need those super chats to Prude. Who in the chat said, hello, I'm racist? And someone said, hi, racist, I'm dad. I remember when someone did the list of, like, what Tim Walz is like. By the way, Ancient Giga Chad, remember Tim Walz? So, like, his kid says, I'm hungry. He's like, hello, hungry, I'm dad. Something about that made me, like, chimp, like, so hard inside. It was, like, so, like, like those upper middle class, like, soy body dads that, like, try to be, like, hokey, leave it to Beaver, but really, like, they'll vote Democrat or whatever. Like, or they'll vote liberal, they'll vote for Trudeau. Like, here's the thing. My old man was never, like, my old man's just not that, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, online.
No, but, like, he's just, like, my old man, like, he laughs at certain things or whatever. And, like, but, like, those type of, like, upper middle class, like, dad guys, it's like something about them is just, I don't know, man. It's just, it makes me mad for some reason. Like, they're not real. It's a performance. So, like, when someone said Tim Walz, hello, hungry, I'm dad, like, it's just, oh man, like, it's, ugh. Anyways, it's like, like a wife guy or a dad guy. It's, not trying to be self-aware, corny. Exactly. Yeah. Corny, self-aware corniness is just, like, terrible. I hate it.
It's leaning into the sitcom thing. I mean,
yes, exactly.
To the extent, the other side of that, I think, would be everyone trying to do the Jim Halpert look at the camera thing as if you're breaking some imaginary fourth wall in real life, and it's just like only one person has managed to do that well, and that's because he was on television, and he is the vice president-elect of the United States.
Effeminate uppity man, I mean, I hate that, man.
Happy wife, happy life, and it's just like, dude, you have no life. I'm so sorry to break it to you, but it's just like you're tweeting on Blue Sky about how awful fascism is from your man cave. Like, it's over, man. It's over.
Like,
it's a fake wholesome. It's saccharine sincerity. It's fake. It's gay. And it is an attempt to illustrate to people who are listening that, like, I'm in on it too, guys. It doesn't matter that I'm not as young and as into it, but I can still be hokey and lovable. I'm like the left wing, leave it to Beaver. And it's just like, well, the left wing, leave it to Beaver is the cop standing by while Tim Waltz's wife opens the windows and smells the lovely scent of burning tires and the destruction of Minneapolis. That's what it is. It's this fake wholesomeness. It's just like, I love the idea of how wonderful things can can be when I sit back and do nothing and watch things get destroyed. And oh boy, isn't it so nice? It's time to do my duty and pull the lever as we do in this ritual of every 4 years. And I know my assignment because that hokey little left-wing feminist account told me I'm voting for my daughter's right to kill children. And it's just like, good God.
Someone tweeted that about Tim Walz, but like they thought it was a positive thing, exactly what Owen Zaleski said. Wholesome dad that drives their own daughter to a Planned Parenthood. Like, yeah, that's like, yeah, girl dads. Like, girl dad. Like, I don't know, man. Like, if you have a daughter, like, I understand, like, you know, my grandfather had 3 daughters, my maternal grandfather. And, so I don't know, but it was weird back then because like my mother was the oldest and like she kind of had to be like his son, you know what I mean? Like she would like help him in his because he was a Finnish carpenter. So like, you know, my mother would help him with stuff. But that's different, man. If you're like one of these like I'm consciously aware that I am a dad to girls type of thing, it's just something's kind of creepy about that. I don't know. It's just like have some, you know what I mean? Like have some insight. Like I understand, like, you know, if you're like simping pretty hard for your girlfriend or your wife in private, that's obviously different. Like, you know, I'm like, you know, with me, you could imagine I'm a perfect supreme gentleman boyfriend. But you know, like in public, you're not gonna like go. The performative element is stupid. You know what I mean? Like the performative element, there's something insincere about that. That just really calls into question your character as a man. I hate to say it. Because the thing is, like, if you go on as like a spectacle, you know what I mean? Like these familiar relations become a spectacle. I think like there's something deeply wrong about that. And it's like really, there was this one Landshark tweet where it was like, of course, it was like a Balkan couple in this photo, and they like kind of and they kind of look pissed off. I remember Landshark said this is the best situation where you only share happiness and smiling and laughter among each other. That your most intimate emotions is only reserved for your wife or your girlfriend, and vice versa. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's pretty profound because like. People that carry on in public with their displays of affection, there's kind of like something going on there. You know what I mean? Like I know plenty of couples where they make like a spectacle out of it and then they end up breaking up or getting divorced because they're trying to cope. You know what I mean? And it's like, you're coping. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's hard to describe. But anyways.
It's a cope.
It's a cope. Yeah. Like, But did you want? I sent you in the private chat. Did you want to read the Guardian article about why they're no longer in Twitter?
Oh, sure, why not?
We're gonna laugh at this one, boys and girls. We have actually quite a few female listeners.
I'm so sorry, but it's okay. I've put an extra title in Gio's subhandle, so it all works out. I can get you can change.
Respect
you can edit that out if you want.
I just want KJ. Where's KJ in the chat? Because like. I'm sure like her and her husband don't like go and carry on in public. You know what I mean? There's something just.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure you're absolutely right. So why the Guardian is no longer posting on X? Let me go zoom in on this puppy. So all right, everyone who is listening, I want you to raise your glass, raise your cup, raise your cigar.
We did it.
Not for that. Not for that. Not for that. I want you to raise your glass, and I want you to have a drink. For our good friend Morgoth's review. We are doing what he has done for so many times. We are hate reading The Guardian, ladies and gentlemen. We are hate reading The Guardian. Here we go. We will stop posting from our official editorial accounts on the platform, but X users can still share our articles.
Oh.
We want, and should we do this in like, I almost want to do this in like an NPR like
voice.
Passive aggressive, you know, Neen Totenberg kind of voice. But anyways, we wanted to let readers know that we will no longer post any official Guardian editorial accounts on the social media site X, formerly Twitter. We think that the benefits of being on X are now outweighed by the negatives, and that the resources could be better used promoting our journalism elsewhere.
What resources you're tanking? I don't know. Like every other news organization.
Curious. This is something that we have been considering for a while, given the often disturbing content promoted or found on the platform, including far-right conspiracy theories and racism. I want to open that link in another tab.
Yeah. The U.S. presidential election campaign served only to underline that we have considered for a long time that X is a toxic media platform, and its owner, Elon Musk, has been able to use influence to shape public discourse like every other social media site. Like every other site. But when they do it, see, I know. This is like conservatard, like hypocrisy alert. But like they
I need the soy jack where he's like, I might start randomly talking about X, and I want it with like a Tim Pool face soy jack where it's like, I might start randomly talking about liberal hypocrisy. Fraser Payne, if you're listening, and I know that you are, if I can get that like soy jack where he's like might start randomly complaining about liberal hypocrisy, I know you. Yeah, it's so funny.
I read enough National Post articles when I was a teenager to like still have that knee jerk like, oh, this is hypocrisy. Yeah,
so true.
X users will be able to share articles in nature. And the nature of live news reports means we will still occasionally embed content from X within our article pages. Our reporters will be able to carry on using the site for news gathering purposes, just as they use other social networks in which we do not officially engage. Social media can be an important tool for news organizations to help us reach new audiences. But at this point, X now, I kind of sound like
you're doing the CBC voice.
I'm doing the CBC. I'm doing Rosemary Barton. Or like that one guy's kind of all right. The Indian guy they got, but he's like an old head. He's been there forever. Like social media can be an important tool for news organizations to help us reach new audiences. Our journalism is available and open to all on our website, and we would prefer people to come to theguardian.com and support our work there. Thankfully, we can do this because our business model does not rely on viral content tailored to the whims of social media giants' algorithms. Instead, we fund it directly by our readers. You can support us at The Guardian. Well,
for just £1. Isn't that right, Churchill? For just £1. You can stand up to 4 more years of Donald Trump and your little satrapy for just £1 a month. Can I get £1? £1, good sir. £1 for The Guardian. £1 for me rump, good sir. I'm just so...
You can have Zoe Williams yell at you and call you a fascist for £1 a month.
For £1 a month, we will send you a personalized video of Zoe Williams calling you a dirty little fascist for you to enjoy in your own private pleasure.
For £1 a month, we will personally make sure that
I'd buy that for £1.
We'll dox you. We'll dox your address for £1 a month.
For £1 a month, Jason Wilson would be sent stalking your home and rummaging through your trash just to find out who you retweeted.
For £1 a month, Jonathan Jones will tell you that Andy Warhol was a fascist. I shouldn't say that. Jonathan Jones is actually a decent art critic. I shouldn't say that. I know, like, he is like a libtard, like most, if not all, art critics, except for a few. But I actually kind of enjoy reading Jonathan Jones. He is a good art critic, I gotta say.
For just £1 a month, we can make sure that Zoe Williams will threaten your docs if you don't engage in findom. Actually, that's a Dan Baltic short story, by the way.
For £1 a month, we will make sure that Jessica Valenti sends feedback. People would pay £1,000 a month for that one.
Oh God!
You know what I really hate is that Jessica Valenti doesn't actually look bad. Like, she does, like, you know, like, she's not terribly ugly, but she is, like, her soul is ugly. Put it that way. Her soul is ugly, but she herself is not that ugly. Like, she's all right. You know, let's look her up now. Jessica Valenti,
I'm going to let you do that on 2024. Your own time.
Oh, I mean, she looks bad. She doesn't look good now, but, like, no, I shouldn't say that. Like, she's all right. she's all right. Like, I know, like, she's got that Italian nose. What do you want? Like, you know how, like, Italian women, some of them, okay, kind of like, who is the one that RFK Jr. was banging? Nuzzy?
Oh, man, that's a great question. Oh, yeah, Olivia Nuzzy or whatever her name was. Yeah. But she worked for the New York Times, didn't she?
She worked for the, yeah. But, like, some Italian women, like, okay, a lot of Italian women that are beautiful, they have, like, that little hint of uncanny ugliness to them. Olivia Nuzzy is kind of like that. I think Anna Kachayan did have a correct take with that. Jessica Valenti's like that. She is good looking, but she's got that, like, hint of ugliness that Italian women have that are beautiful, but it makes up their character. Like, this one from, like, years ago, she kind of looks like Default a little bit in this, like, webcam photo. But no, Italian women are like that, man. Like, they got that little bit of hint of, like, uncanniness. Anyways, no, but, like, I found that was hilarious how The Guardian, like, out of one social media site, the one that, I mean, of course it hurts them the most because that's the one where journalists have congregated, you know, unlike Facebook or wherever. It really, you know what I mean? Like, it really, like, it hurt them so, like, bug-eyed Maloney. Yeah, exactly. Maloney's got the bug eye, but you wouldn't consider her not attractive. Like, you know what I mean? So, you don't like Maloney?
No, I don't. I don't think she's that pretty.
Like, I don't like her actual policies, but in terms of her...
I don't think she's that pretty.
Oh, my God, bro. What about Gretchen Whitmer?
No.
Well, she looked good when she was younger.
Okay, but an ugly soul doesn't make up for the fact that she might have looked good when she was 25.
No Democrat woman could ever rival Mommy Cinema. That's about it, you know? Like, I don't know, though. There has been... I mean, if you look at the younger ones, like... Nancy Pelosi, when she, like, in the 60s, she was all right looking. She's pretty good. But, like, I mean, even like Hillary Clinton, and when she was in college, when she was a grad, like, she was a grad student, she looked pretty good. You know, Victoria Nuland did look objectively good when she was younger, but then the evil just, like, corrupted her soul and it manifested in her face. Who else am I thinking of here? What other Democrat woman is passably good looking? I mean, don't say AOC, because, like, AOC, I don't know why you guys, like, what do you guys have with AOC? I don't understand. Like, it's just, I don't know, man.
She's, like, a Guadalajara 7.
No, but, like, I guess it's like...
She's the type of person you'd wake up next to after trying to leave the barracks at Fort Bliss and realize you've ruined your life.
Fort Bliss. No, but that's what I mean. Like, I think it's because she's the most obnoxious libtard there. So, like, she's the object of desire for so many right-wing men because it's the attraction of opposites.
Is she? Well, I feel as if most of this simpery is either A, performative, and B, it's 80-20 performative. 80% performative, 20% good. God, man, get some standards.
Well, then you have, like, Addie Muncher, like, posting, like, the AI feet pics of or, like, where she's pregnant and, like, with Donald Trump.
Do not endorse. Do not endorse.
Yeah, don't research Addie Muncher.
I'm not a detective, but this is really bad. I remain skeptical.
Is Guadalajara kind of white now? I thought Guadalajara was, like, the... Anyways.
I'm just calling her unattractive. She's attractive for Washington standards because she is under, like, 45, and she is a woman that still has some semblance of youth. Outside of that, I get the desire to... for lack of a better...
You know who really has a semblance of youth in the Democrat Party? The Texas Belle, you know, Olivia Juliana.
Oh, well... There's some...
funny, man.
Everything's bigger in Texas, including our obese Mexicans. Good. I
should make fun of her for being fat, but, like, she is genuinely obnoxious, though. Like, remember,
I'm obnoxious. Like, oh, we know. We know. I can feel myself being sucked into your gravitational pull as we speak. Talk about a blue shift.
The Democrat Party, what they're gonna do is they're going to force Harry Sisson to marry Olivia Giuliana. They're gonna have like an arranged wedding, and it's gonna
he'll be like Jeb Bush.
He'll be like, yeah, he'll be like the first wife. Oh, who is the wife of Gavin Newsom? They were like swingers or whatever.
I don't know.
Oh, she was like an actress, or she was some kind of like Hollywood.
Who cares?
Anyways, who cares? Let's move on. No, so the Guardian piece, the Guardian piece, it really is. It's obscene in a lot of ways, but I don't really expect any integrity from the Guardian because I understand it was a mortal wound to them because Twitter was the place for journalists. And it still kind of is because despite all these people talking about, I'm going to go to Blue Sky, they still post on Twitter. And Blue Sky is sort of like the way that me and you treat Telegram, where it's like a promotional thing. You know
promotional what I mean? And I can be slightly spicier.
Yeah. Like that's what Blue Sky is. Like Blue Sky, they post stuff where they know that like right-wing frogs are never going to like interact with them because they'll get banned right away. But I think like maybe if one day Blue Sky were to lax up the censorship rules, they would be done for because you will have. I'm actually surprised it hasn't happened yet, like an invasion of frogs just to like troll them. It will happen though. Like it happened with Mastodon. There were.
Well, I think they don't have the Elon Musk relaxed blocking rules anymore.
Yeah.
So true, American Arbiter. So true. But we'll get to that super chat later.
Remember that Gretchen Whitmer, like she gave that woman a chip. It was like very sexual. Like what was with that, man? Like did somebody?
It was an insult to the Catholic, adoration of the Eucharist. Is what that was.
Yeah,
it was disgusting. It was wrong. And I mean, I don't receive the Eucharist that way because I'm not Roman Catholic. But like, good God, what an insult!
The Orthodox receive the Eucharist
with a chalice and a spoon.
You see, we used to do that. My mother remembers that, but like, we really laxed the rules of the Catholic Church. I hate to say it, but like, I also on the I might put it on Content Mining instead of Core Report, but when I was driving, I did record a bit on the Lucy anime girl. You know Lucy?
Yeah, I saw that.
Catholic anime girl.
For once, you can say that you have the power of God and anime on your side.
People were
There's a throwback. Remember Vine?
Remember Vine, yeah.
Remember Vine.
But the thing is, like with the Guardian, is that it really is. It's not just Trump derangement syndrome, but I think that. I hate to say it because it is like a cliched statement, but do you remember like when like BLM people, they would say like to the privileged, equality seems like oppression?
Yeah.
It's like, that's basically what it is. It's like they have this grand narrative of the unique state of exception that is always playing in their mind over and over again. That we have to do this because we're not operating on normal conditions, because Elon Musk and Donald Trump and corporations, they still talk about corporations, even though corporations in a weird way are still relevant, but not as relevant in terms of the information economy as people like think, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is, though, they think that there is this like the corporatist fascist takeover, and that Elon Musk is reviving the Silicon, the California ideology.
Oh, that's so true.
Is transfying. Yeah. The thing is, though, when it comes to them going to that length of we're not going to participate in this anymore, it's not that. I mean, it could set something off. But they realize that Twitter is sort of necessary for the sort of dataist information network that they are trying to capture again. Mm-hmm. And the fact that Elon Musk is in control, not to say that I'm like a particular fan of Elon Musk or whatever, like there's obviously, he's in it for ulterior motives, but the fact that he is willing to allow at least a little bit of freedom really, really scares them. And it shows that these people have been coddled for the better part of at least 2 decades, even more. And that they can't really, they never thought, I'll tell you a secret. If you go to, even back in the day, even go to like 2006 Democratic Underground, right? They never thought that they would wake up to see a day where the internet has not, quote unquote, destroyed fascism and authoritarianism and brought the world closer together. That in fact, the internet has become a very successful tool for the right wing and for the instantiation of things like nationalism and an awareness of one's identity, rather than the destruction of one's national or racial or religious identity. They never thought that they would exist in this world. And in a lot of ways, even though there is a lot of criticisms, Trump really was the crystallization moment for a lot of this energy going forward. And even if those previous right-wing movements, even the ones that were very nascent on like the Usenet days and on MUDs and so forth, and then eventually on 4chan, a lot of these things wouldn't have achieved any momentum if it wasn't for Trump. I was thinking the other day, I was thinking very hard before I went to bed at night. I was thinking like, okay, what if Trump were to have lost in 2016? What would the world have looked like by now, right? I don't see any positive development. The only positive development I would see would be if things get really bad under the Obama third term, which would basically be Hillary Clinton, that there would be a form of Trumpism or a form of dissident right thought, even though that word dissident right is like overplayed. So I think
Patrick Spellman, it's not me flipping a Zippo over and over again. It's the equivalent of an Italian having his loudspeakers playing without headphones.
Sorry. Because I don't know, like when I talk, I like to fidget with my hands. I don't know if it was something.
You're a terrible Italian. Just have empty, wide hand gestures. Learn from your president.
No, because I have this like vice grip on my desk for some reason. And I keep flicking it over and over again.
Yourself!
I'm sorry, I'm talking. Anyways, get a fidget
spinner, as Andrew Kelly points out.
I've never had the need to actually go and buy a fidget spinner. But anyways,
I will personally wrap you in a weighted blanket and throw you in the Hudson.
Anyways, so you can't really envision that world. And I think that now that they've gotten a little bit of a taste of what a more serious Trump administration might look like, whether you want to say that you're critical of the people that he's chosen, they are, if anything, I wouldn't say I want to like discount them and say that this is a massive sign of weakness. It is a sign of weakness, but I wouldn't rule out what they have in store. But I do think that the despondency of the political left around the globe is really quite something. And the Guardian going out of their way to not engage in Twitter anymore, well, that is a level of derangement that, well, when we get to the Alex Jones thing, I'll talk a little bit more about it when it comes to the state of exception. But what do you think of that, Prude? Like, what is your take?
Sorry, I was laughing at chat. No, one of the things I think is particularly important to consider here is that the definition of mainstream media is going to radically change, especially in part because I think that we have to be very realistic that while the electorate in America is still overwhelmingly white and older, that will change. And of course, the vice grip on public opinion has radically changed because a key information node and a signal amplifier is no longer in regime hands. Right? So that's an important thing to consider. So they're all not posting here. These lefties are not posting on here. Do I suspect that they will try and rally their forces and maybe do something? I mean, it's been noticeably absent to me on the institutional level because we witnessed in 2016 that it was basically never again was literally the motto. We cannot let this happen again. And I'll let you all read into the whole nether into that. But I mean, you saw this with Google, you saw this with Facebook, you saw this with Twitter, you saw this with every facet of the press and of left-wing politics, liberal or otherwise, progressive or otherwise, realize we did not have our thumb on the scales enough as it was to keep him out of the White House in 2016. The perfect state of exception was played out in 2020. And it's been really fun to witness all these liberals on Twitter and on Blue Sky complain about how this election was stolen because, oh, Elon and Starlink and the election. And it's just like, okay, so now they're experiencing...
Now there's a right-wing narrative that the Israelis stole it for Trump. That's the... Yeah.
And so now it's like, okay, we're getting the Sidney Powell Krakens, but now it's just like blue and on conspiracy theories. And for the first time I've noticed in a long time, the left is demoralized. It's the first time I've ever seen the left really...
Despondent
in my
lifetimes, really
in my lifetime. And it's just like, oh wow, my wholesome chungus, like I heckin' love science guy, turns out he thinks that America is turning into a third world shithole, and so he sided with Donald Trump and those evil fascists. And it's just like, okay, but
wait, who?
Yeah, Elon Musk, their favorite superhero.
Oh yeah, I thought you meant like there's a bunch of like wholesome chungus science guys.
Well, sure.
Like Adam Savage, he's got like a Transformer daughter, son. I don't know.
That's so trash. You know who else has one of those? Is Colin Mockery from Whose Line Is It Anyway? And like his son, who acts as a woman, it does these like stand-up performances with him, or they do shows and improv together. And I can just see the depression on Colin's face every time they do like a podcast or a video interview together. And he sits there in this chair and he looks over at his dead son, and he's like, my son is dead, I have failed as a father and as a man. And you're just like, man, I thought it was sad when they did the bald jokes on Whose Line Is It Anyway, and he would always play as this sad mopish figure, and you're like, oh no, this is even worse.
Were those guys on the Drew Carey show at one point?
Yes, they were for years.
Yeah. I remember I came home and I would watch Peachtree TV in school, and I'd like watch the Drew Carey show for some reason.
I love the Drew Carey show.
It was Drew Carey, then it was Steve Harvey show. Do you remember that Steve Harvey show where it had like Bullet Head and Romeo, and then Futurama? That was the lineup. And I remember like I would watch them just to watch Futurama, but then eventually I'll be like, oh, these are all right. Like, there was like a lot of wasted time when I was a kid. I gotta say, like, there was a lot of like, life was very slow relative to being terminally online every day, where like things just happen, But the thing is, like, when it comes down to it, there is. Sorry, I cut you off, Prudy. Go ahead.
Tom Green is a Canuck. Hey, Tom Green is one of the few.
Tom broke his brain. That was terrible.
It was, but I mean, Tom Green is a Canadian treasure.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, to finish off my point is that like when you have institutional control of everything and you lose that power node, and keep in mind, most lefty control over the United States, or really just global transnational progressivism, whatever you want to call it, it's like a hand on your shoulder, and they have finally felt a finger lift off.
Yeah.
And how demoralizing that is to the average person, or even these institutions as well. And, I think that, just to read a quick thread from Schwab, I think that he's got a great point here. The leftist is a cellular accretion around a signal, and that signal is dying. The legacy media golem will simply not survive in this ecology.
Nope.
The slime mold adapted to flat 2D media, but the new order that we're seeing here on a screen is fluid, ionospheric, and they are in free fall. Leftism, as we know it, is a mode of being based on a unidirectional broadcast, like they are in some isomorphic extrusions on a screen. Once the signal that animates them is cut off, they will be, quote, put into a crystal, and the crystalline form will become static. This mad dash towards self-castration, bizarre fetishes, identity politics, conspiracy, Byzantine censorship networks, and weird inversions of reality are all death throes of that signal. Yes, the legacy media really did try to drive the world so insane so it could stay relevant. Now, this is true. We are turning the page. The things are moving in a direction now where no one cares as much as what Rachel Maddow has to say.
No.
We just witnessed
what 4 years. Has to say.
Well, we just witnessed 4 years of the most absolute batshit insanity, to where even some of the richest people who were, these people's like Reddit tier superheroes are basically came to the conclusion that said America as we know it, as the bare basic minimum assumption of functional nation state, has been thrown into question. Whether it's the open borders, the lack of American sovereignty inside of its own territory with the Chinese buying up land next to military institutions, the spying, this doesn't even get started on questions like the Israel lobby. All of a sudden, you're like, hey, maybe the guy you've been calling Adolf Hitler for 8 years isn't so bad. And we have driven the point of extremism that America, for all intents and purposes, is a very much Enlightenment-style liberal country. Your conservatives are liberals. Your liberals are even more liberal in the modern sense of that phrase. And so even your like hard rightists are just like 1920s racialized progressives.
Yeah.
And so, which is fine. Lothrop Stoddard had some good ideas.
There's no monarchism in America.
There really isn't, outside of some LARP that is really just closeted ethnic animus, which is more or less every Hispanic, Catholic monarchist supporter.
Or like, diasporoids, like, bring the old world, And I mean, so I'm a diaspora, well, kind of, at least half a diaspora, but anyways, go ahead.
And so the signal amplifier is disappeared in one particular node. And this is in part because this is the node in which things happen. This is the node in which the most powerful people on Earth, the richest people on Earth, intelligence agencies, governments, news media, etc., all come out of their way to broadcast what it is we're going to talk about. What made this turning of the page happen, of course, does come in large part because Trump said, fuck that. I'm going to tweet and not be on the defensive. What separates the media strategy styles between someone like, say, Mitt Romney and Donald Trump is that Mitt Romney is going to play nice. Mitt Romney is going to play a part of it because fundamentally he craves the approval of the system because he's a part of that system. He is just as much a piece of mold that is growing inside of this wet, disgusting patch that has turned into the America's political class. It is nothing more but fungus. And he wants to be part of it. He wants that warm fuzzy of that mycelium to rub up against him because he himself knows that he's part of it. Trump is also a part of it, but he knew that I have to get ahead of the game. I have to be the one on the offensive. And that's what is allowed. You can say all this meme stuff. You can say all of this cult of personality behind various groups and personalities, whether it's, Chom sends its regards, whether it's about BAP, whether it's about Keith Woods, whether it's about Nick Fuentes. All of it is about trying to bypass and circumvent the establishment media's control on reality. And this, of course, is what Nick Land wrote about in his Xenosystems blogs, that disintermediation, i.e. not relying on Dan Rather, not relying on Bob Woodward, and not relying on Rachel Maddow or John Oliver or John Leibowitz and the rest of them, is that you are effectively bypassing the middleman. Now, we've reinvented the middleman, but a middleman of someone that we like. You're here listening to the show. You're hearing our opinions and our editorialized perspectives on the news. We know that we are just a slightly different flavor of right-wing tastes on what happens with the news media. And we hope that some of our takes are original and interesting. That's why you're here. However, all that being said, we're now in an environment where that can be boosted. Now, there are still, of course, very hard, rough edges to that window that can't get touched. Is it far much more in our favor than it was 8 years ago? Absolutely. There are a lot of great posters that I certainly do miss, and I hope one day they come back. However, at the end of it all...
John, where are you? John, where are you?
John, where are you? John, where are you? Spotted Toad, where have you been? But, it's the... And so now the signal amplifier is gone, but for them... The signal that amplifies, say, I don't know, the post-war consensus, it's still ingrained in the society, but the ghost, the haunted visage of certain ideologies of the 20th century, only one of those ideologies is still alive. And it still very much has its roots in everything that we do. It's not fascism. You can't even really call it Marxism, but I mean, it's leftism, it's communism, whatever you want to call it. It's there.
Yeah, even like I think even like Mark Fisher was smart enough to intuit that point about fascism, that because fascism was quashed in the 20th century, unlike communism and liberalism, that it still remains a ontological entity because it wasn't fully allowed to flourish. And so it would always become a point of intrigue, especially for younger people. And I remember people laughed at him back in the day, but he was like, right. Like even though he sunsetted because of those very evil, ghoulish people that stabbed him in the back, Mark Fisher really got the last laugh on them. Like the Vampire Castle was really a hallmark in that regard. Like, for example, you remember that Nightmare Vision point about what is the political left? If like, what can there be like an anti-woke political left? The anti-woke political left is MAGA communism. It's like old school unionist, quasi-Marxist, working white middle class, like leftist social, not social,
Well,
leftist economic policy.
Isn't that what the whole like dirtbag left was about? Is that we don't have to be woke, we can call things retarded too, and that's what we're going to be apart.
You can't have an anti-woke leftism. That's the point.
No,
it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, because your idea of like, anti-woke leftism. Well, okay, that those guys just end up becoming today's right-wingers. Yeah. Anti-woke leftism
you become Amy Therese. You speak them being Amy Therese.
You become Dave Rubin.
You become Dave Rubin. Yeah.
That's all that it is.
Barry Weiss.
You become Barry Weiss is something else. But
what an idiot, dude! Did that clip from Rogan where she like couldn't defend herself for Israel? That was very funny. That was very funny. No, but the point being is that the right wing is actually more rhizomatic when you think about it. Like, I mean, there is core things that we agree with, but even those core things we all love to disagree with anyways. Like, what I mean is that...
Oh, God. I mean, just look at religion.
Yeah, religion. Yeah, or like anything.
There is almost a complete uniformity on the left when it comes to religion, unless you're like offending a sacred protected class, and then race takes a priority.
Yeah, like the Haka. That's, but I hate that clip so much.
I love that every country, every developed, European or Anglosphere country has a universal fatigue for whatever their respective like lefty minority token is out there. Like everyone knows it. Everyone knows it that you can like go on a bus, you can go in this like in a grocery store, and if someone walks in of a particular class and stature with like their phone on speaker mode and it's loud as hell, you know that you are locking eyes across the aisle with someone else there who's like, yeah, man, I know it's frustrating. I just saw a clip earlier of some white member of parliament in the New Zealand thing doing the whole like, really, this shit again? Like, it's there. It's a universal constant of just fatigue.
By the way, the Maui, they weren't indigenous to New Zealand. They actually genocided the indigenous group that was there. So
it's the eternal stone toss comic. Like, that's great. When are you going back?
That's great. When you have like spear and
spear in his back. It's just like,
Well, hey, it's like the Iroquois. They genocided the Hurons, so you know what I mean. Here in
that's
Canada.
Great. When are you going back to where you came from?
Yeah, exactly. No, but the thing is though, like you were saying, like this is why Nick Land. I will die on my dying breath. I will say that Nick Land is the philosopher of the 21st century, because when you think of it, that older model cannot survive in, like he was saying, in this media ecology. And that really severely threatens them, because the internet certainly did seem like a left-wing thing for a long time, even though there was like nascent pockets of reaction. But I think that the political right, when you actually think of it, the growth of the right wing in the internet is, ironically enough, despite like, the pretensions to like traditionalism and Ludditism, the political right on the internet was almost like an inevitability in a lot of ways, not just because the left pushing their brand of orthodoxy in every institution and in every way of life, but because when you have a sort of, an insurgent energy that's reliant upon an exclusion of the law, inevitably the sort of wild frontier of the online world, or at least at one time was the wild frontier, that was going to find a home for people that were on the margins. It's unironically like, this is why Angela Nagle was correct when she called at that time, the alt-right, the right Gramscians, because it really is sort of like from the periphery, you are challenging the hegemon. You're challenging the very structure of the hegemon. And I think legacy media, the part of a few like talk radio, but whatever, legacy media in our environment, they are too slow to respond to these changes. And this is like, again, going to that Fisher article about the vampire castle, right? He really saw what was going to happen, and he was like literally crucified for it. And at this time, when you have the election of Donald Trump, especially, this is what GSP said in the chat, that, the popular vote's undeniable.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And the thing is, I said this on the War Report with GSP a few weeks before the election, where I said that the election, I tweeted about this too, the election would be a make or break in terms of our milieu, our general ecology on the E-right, having a connection to the real world and what real people think and feel, or are we just living in an echo chamber? And most normies in America are way more left-wing than we like to think. But really, my blackpilling compelled me to say that a lot of these people are looking at Donald Trump as a religious figure, but maybe in reality, who knows what's going to happen? Maybe if Donald Trump is a universal fluke or a blip in the matrix, then we'll know. But the fact that he won the popular vote has really terrified them, because it proves that Donald Trump is in fact not just a blip, a state of exception, but in reality, he is becoming not just the norm, but he's becoming the norm for a significant amount of the population, not just in America, but also around the globe. And that's really terrified them, because it proves that. And so what is their response to that? It's exactly that news dude guy, the 3 TikTok thread that Nightmare Vision just tweeted today before we went on the air.
I didn't see it. What was this one about?
It was that news dude guy on TikTok saying that, I quote tweeted it with the thing that the guy said. He's like this white libtard. He said that the reason Kamala Harris, she ran an amazing campaign.
Oh, I see it.
The reason she lost was because she was going up against hate, and Donald Trump's the embodiment of hate. So because their sort of post-Cold War liberal consensus has been called into question by a significant amount of the American population, therefore their response is to then demonize that population and to say that you people are hate mongers, you people are evil, you people are fascists, when in reality, you should have some form of introspection and say that, well, what were those left-wing populist issues that we could win on? Was it Alan Grayson yelling at people back in the 2000s? Maybe. Was it Bernie Sanders and his form of economic socialism? Maybe. Was it Matt Kreisman? Maybe. Oh, but no, fuck that. Actually, you people are evil, and we're going to double down on our assessment that you people are evil and that you deserve misery, and that we're praying to God that Donald Trump creates some kind of catastrophe that then the chuds will own themselves. That's what their message is. Not that we should look at ourselves that we failed for the greater part of 50 years when you actually the greater part of 100 years when you actually think about it. But no, not George St. Pierre, GSP Gorin from the War Report. No, but not that we failed for the greater part of 50 years or 20 years or even 100 years when you actually think about it. No, that's irrelevant. Actually, we have to double down on our populations that we treat as basically as what's the Pareto term? The
political formula?
No, the classes that are dependent, where it's like a not proprietorship, but like, where you give them political currency and they give you loyalty.
Patrons and clients.
Clientele. Yeah, the client classes. Yeah. So like, unlike doubling, so then they double down on their client classes, and then they say like, well, actually, we're going into this evil Gilead despondent fascism, and Donald Trump's going to redact all of our client classes.
Well, and the other thing,
for some reason he's going to do it. I don't know.
Tax cattle. I mean, that's another thing too. The Kinas and the kitsch. That's also funny. But I mean, again, and I think that when people do say very accurately that progressivism is this secularized Christian heresy that is far more eschatologically minded than some of your most hardcore dispensationalists, it is true. Leftism, as it is the most eschatologically minded political philosophy I have ever seen. Ever.
But it has no soteriology, though. It has no salvation.
No, its soteriology isn't... It inverts the idea of being a witness. It inverts the idea of martyrdom. It's not it's the instead of the Christ-like kenosis of self-emptying love, instead it is.
Oh, there's an Orthodox term right there. Yeah.
I mean, it's from Greek. I mean, anyways, but the
Catholicism, I think grace is like comes close to that. But anyway.
Well, I mean, I'm literally cribbing from scripture. But anyways, this kinetic self-emptying love. But instead what it is for them is it's prideful, it's vanity. It is this, I am self-destructive. I must sacrifice not myself. Heavens, no, I can't sacrifice my treats. The treats aren't for you. You're not part of the elect. You're not part of us. You're a chud. You're going to hell. You're a part of those evil fascists. You're the ones of the evil one that we must say, you're there with Adolf. Get behind him, And
it's a materialist metaphysics.
Very much so. But the soteriological aspect of it all is that it is, I must end myself. Not for the world, not for anything, but because I want to be seen as a good person. I am fluidly I am encircling around this container that tells me inside these walls I am safe. And if I am poured out, it is only for the greater good of the world, not for my fellow man. Not because, I hate my fellow man. I hate them. Instead, it is all about me and the I and what is for me. And in so doing so, this is why the whole right side of history thing has been so metaphysically and psychologically damaging to these people, because you are conceptually prevented from introspection. What do you mean identity politics has failed? Well, hell, we should double down on it. Brown forever. Why would we concede the election after telling me for just 10 years that this guy was the second coming of the Third Reich? How dare you? We should just make sure that we never concede and fight them everywhere that we can. We are on the right side of history. How can we fail? And so what would create a genuine crisis of faith, and we're noticing this with this coping and seething like that thing that Nightmare Vision shared, is that if they had the capacity to escape their dogmatic priors, they could have some genuine introspection. The Carviles of the world can, because they're older and they're not bought into this bullshit. Trans women are still women, even if AOC takes the pronouns out of her Twitter bio. Democratic governors have made it clear that they have made it before, as they've said earlier, that undocumented Americans are their priority, and they literally use that term, undocumented American. And they will focus that over the actual citizens who are getting killed and having their apartment complexes taken over by gangs. And of course, they will play John Williams music. The rise of the resistance will emerge, but this time with the shadowy undertone that elite billionaires and boogeymen are haunting them in the same way George Soros has haunted and tormented the right for decades. Boogeymen like the Kochs have been replaced by the George Soros of the right, like Elon Musk. And they look at Twitter, they look at Blue Sky, and it has turned into this auto-unfiction where their life is now part of political intrigue, and it is all a part of this anti-fascist, alternative reality.
Yeah, it's basically autofiction. It's soillennial autofiction.
It's soillennial autofiction. And all of a sudden, the real world around us is part of this grand conspiracy. We are now living as if we are the resistance, or we are hiding, and we are stocking up on ways that we can self-fluoridate our water and build our own HRT.
That one TikTok, he's like, don't tell people your politics, you might get reported. It's like, what the fuck world you're living? You're gonna get reported to the Gestapo, the Trump Gestapo? Is that like, it's really is like an autofiction type of deal, right? But anyways, go ahead, Prude.
But I mean, it goes back to the fundamental point that it's a crisis of faith, and instead of looking at perhaps what's around them, there's no legitimate defense. Like you and this is, I mean, it's. And I would love it if someone could take up the cause for it, because I'd love to read it. In the same way that I think Ligotti is the perfect apologist for nihilism. But it's interesting. I think that you're wrong. But at the end of the
CRN's the best apologist for nihilism. But yeah,
probably. But I mean, you read the about the conspiracy against the human race, and you're like, I can see this being the most affirmative defense. Still don't like it, but to sort of top it off here, though, even with trying to buy out the whole InfoWars thing and to make it sad to own it and to be like ridiculing and playing with like, oh, we have our little minstrel show where we're gonna do
failed at that,
and
apparently.
they failed. Well, I mean, and we'll get into that in a minute here.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah,
but everything has become a millennially coded, ARG that tells us I am living in a reality that is not the one than which you and I experience because our signal amplifiers are different. And I do read lefties, and I try my best to keep in contact with some of my friends that are more liberally minded because I want to understand how the hell they look at the world. Like next week, I'm supposed to be recording with These People Are Sick, the guys formerly of the Fed Post. They were some of my favorite kind of lefties to talk to because I think they get things kind of close to where they're supposed to be, but then they get it so fucking wrong. But like, again, I keep in touch with what those guys are saying in part because like, how do they see the world? Why do they look at it that way? Why is it that their lens of analysis? Whereas for them, it is one singular unipolar world. That is, we can do no wrong. Identity politics is this. We're on the right side of history. We are anti-fascist, and ergo, if we suffer defeat, it's never, and again, I can't even call this a genuine defeat for them because there's still so many aspects of the left that they have control over. But I mean, it's important to look at it in the sense that they have to now seriously look around themselves and ask, okay, what do we do? Yeah. Are they capable of that? No. So now what happens? Well, you see strange-ass tweets like Elon Musk tells Joe Rogan that he has an app that can tally votes during the election before anyone else. Starlink has now come into questions. Dems won all the down-ballot races in all 7 swing states but didn't vote for Kamala for president. Can we at least agree that Starlink needs to be investigated and all swing states need to do a hand count? And it's just like, oh, man. I really want you to take that line of logic to its logical conclusion.
People got banned in 2020 for saying that.
Exactly. Yeah. And apparently you can get banned from Blue Sky if you say that the 2024 election was rigged, which I think is just so funny that they get a taste of our own medicine from 2020. But all of this just comes to illustrate that it's hard. I'm seeing them cry. I'm seeing them cope, seethe, dilate, whine, dramatically leave. And as entertaining as this is to watch them lack introspection, I know that a cornered rat is dangerous. And like with any group that thinks the world is going to end tomorrow and their predictions don't go well,
they do a lot of crazy shit.
The Millerites or whatever. You're going to
see the leftist Shinrikyo in this lifetime. I'm
sure that you will. And just to finish, my last point is simply this. We have yet to see the effective resistance organize around it.
Yeah.
And I think
like in 2016 with Antifa. Yeah, you'll see.
Oh, I'm not even just meaning Antifa, but I mean like the institutional level, because they still control a good chunk of institutions. The question is going to be, do Trump has
to destroy these people by kicking them out of these institutions?
And making those institutions the salt. Just salt the earth. Don't let it grow. But will they play along? Will they play along? Or are we going to see some genuinely organized resistance emerge? I think that we'll see some attempts at playing along. We've seen this already with like Bezos and others. However, we know that they're all duplicitous snakes that were pushing this shit just a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And it just illustrates the profit motives, and it illustrates the importance of having signal amplifiers. And if one of them is taken away a la Musk, the question becomes, can others domino and fall over, or will they try and steelman them and defend them with as many bulwarks as possible? Because it's not like leftism's been defeated. It's still there. Liberalism's still here. It's not going away anytime soon. And those are the things to keep in mind. Yeah, the average like libtard on Twitter screeching and crying that we're going to enjoy in our, left-wing crying 2024 election compilations, that's entertaining. But those aren't the ones in power. I can laugh at the lumpen proletariat, sure, because, they're the lumpen proles. But I also know that the ones that, have maintained their lifestyle, the patrician lefty classes that are the ones that patron and have clients and things like that, they're probably hard at work at thinking of how do we get our goals accomplished.
Yeah.
That's still there.
Well, there's something that Peter Nemitz said. He said that the other Anglosphere countries will then double down on their censorship in response to America going to Trump, just as counter signal, right? And so I think that's even more reason to vote Trudeau out, for example. So the thing is, there's something that Some Visual Haze said, yeah, remember Jonestown? Yeah, Jim Jones was a left-wing, atheistic,
and was
communist sympathizer,
well established and cozy with virtually every Democrat in San
and
Francisco.
He legitimately thought that the Turner Diary race war was going to happen in America, where Ronnie Reagan fascists, at that time, like Richard Nixon fascists would like awaken in America, and that like William Luther Pierce is gonna like have a cabinet position and like just G-word-eyed everybody, right? But like that's what he legitimately thought. Like there were followers of his that said, why can't we just defect to the Soviet Union? This is crazy. He's like, no, that's not good enough because they're gonna nuke the Soviet Union, and so we got to do this revolutionary sunsetting. And it's like you're gonna see that in our lifetime. I guarantee you. You will have that. You will have maybe not as big, but I guarantee you there could be like an Enter Kitty Squat Waco where they're doing the moonshine in the tub, and like the ATF is like busting down their door, and Christy Noem's gonna like run the ATF and like Waco couples doing the bathtub transition. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. But
it would be cool to see the ATF like bust down their doors for making illicit HRT drugs to sell to minors. I think that there should be, DEA raids on every single manufacturer of those kind of drugs.
Yeah, Christy Noem's gonna like go in there with the tanks, and they're gonna take Hoon out of retirement. They're gonna take the Asian sniper out of retirement. They're gonna listen. You're no longer a libtard. You're an arch conservative now. ATF raiding the Twitch stream office. That's funny. Yeah, ATF raiding the streamer polycule. That'd be fun. That's crazy. No, but anyways, on a serious point though, like the thing is though, yeah, you don't know what they're gonna do. Hopefully Trump can disrupt them on an institutional level. And when it comes down to the war of ideas, the fact that the popular vote did confirm to them that Trump isn't like this little blip in history, and that there's a lot of people in America that are fed up with it. And there's a lot of people in America that are starting to question their post-World War II, post-Cold War consensus. I mean, why do you think they descended on Daryl Cooper so hard, right? But the thing is, though, what was I going to say, Prude? We'll get to the InfoWars thing. But the thing is, like, when it comes down to it, not to say that, like, Trump is, like, a religious figure or whatever, but the thing is, like, okay, I'll give you, this is what I was going to say. Did you read that tweet by Will Stoncel that Emily Eucharist tweeted out, where Stoncel said that Trump will fail, the MAGA chuds will fail, the fascism will fail, because historically, this is what he said, all the Black Panthers and all the anti-racists were calling and telling him the government was coming after him. Exactly. Those people in the Black Panthers, with the exception of
but you will see this happen in this frame. I mean, you already saw this with the election. Everyone was saying, "Oh, hide your friends, hide your like Hispanic friends. They're all coming for you. They're all coming for you. They're all coming from you." And then damn,
hide your trans friends. Yeah,
hide your trans friends. Like, oh my gosh, just Jennifer Rubin said it's 1933, and it's just like, okay, that if you honestly believe that, people are going to do some extreme shit. I mean, for God's sake, do we? I know it's so funny that I remember his name and no one else does. Like I say this, I say that tongue in cheek. But like, come on, 2 people this election cycle self-immolated.
I think 3 actually.
I think 1 attempted and did not succeed. 2 did it successfully.
No, but there were Democrat activists and Congress people that were actually feeding Jim Jones this terrible narrative that they're going to, like, the American government and the CIA was going to descend on them, and then Nixon was going to like use them as an example. And so they knew this while Leo Ryan was boarding the plane to Guyana. So in my opinion, the Democrat Party was the one who got Leo Ryan killed. Not Jim Jones, just Jim Jones himself. But his fellow Democrats that were feeding Jim Jones this narrative, they were the ones that helped. They have the blood of Leo Ryan and his advisors on their hands. If you remember the deep lore on Jonestown.
Yeah.
And of course, there were conspiracies that the CIA was involved, that they were using UNITA that was across the border in Angola. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, but like the point, not across the board, but like that they were using like certain paramilitary groups, and that UNITA was involved. And I remember doing a deep dive many years ago on this. But the point being is that you're going to see that level of a chimp out and psychosis. But the despondency worries me, as opposed to in 2016, where they did get motivated because they still had a faith in their sort of like right side of history narrative. They still had a faith that like people. So this is what Will Stoncel said. He said that fascism and Trumpism will never work because oppressive and authoritarian regimes are brittle, and our wholesome Chungist view of world history dictates that only like liberal democracies and wholesome leftist regimes that give human rights to people, those are the ones that last. But I'm thinking, Stoncel, if you actually look at world history,
you were just part of a fragile authoritarian regime.
No, but like authoritarian regimes and monarchies and dictatorships and empires, they have track records of lasting, in some cases, hundreds to thousands of years. So, like, how many dynasties in China? The Roman Empire, the British colonial empire. Like, when you really think of it, wholesome Chungist progressive liberalism and quote-unquote democracy, that is the human exception, not everything else. Everything else is Lindy. I mean, I hate that term Lindy, but like in actuality, like any regime that Will Stoncel would consider authoritarian by his standards, they end up lasting a significantly longer amount of time than their like little social experiment that they, you know what I mean? So it's crazy. Yeah, it's cope. It's total cope. But so anyways, do you want to move on to InfoWars?
Man, if you want to feel old for a little bit, just we mentioned 2008 at the beginning. Teardrops on My Guitar was on the top 100 charts.
Wow!
From Taylor Swift. And then the rest of it is a disturbing amount of people that...
Indie slop?
No, like rap and R&B slop.
Well, like who?
Flo Rida, T-Pain, Alicia Keys, Lil Wayne. God, so depressing. Like country's mainstream music is so just sad.
T-Pain was popular for like 5 minutes in 2008.
Well, and it also, but it also, I mean, the thing about like democracy, how you mentioned it earlier. I mean, our friend Owen Cyclops had said, quoting a cartoon from the New Yorker, he says, "I love this cartoon about this guy saying these smug pilots have lost touch with regular passengers like us. Who thinks I should fly the plane?" And he says, "I love this cartoon because people posted it as an argument against populism, but it's really just an argument against democracy."
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I'm sorry, like your form of managed democracy, your idea of like, well, we don't want these like fascists in charge. Who thinks I should like run the train? And it's like, well, you ran the train off the fucking rails. Here we are. And lo and behold, we will see what lasts and what doesn't. But yeah, let's go ahead and slide into to the InfoWars stuff.
Yeah. So, well, you go ahead. Then I have a...
No, go ahead.
Well, okay, so basically the Onion attempted with a local Democrat coalition to outbid the purchasing of InfoWars, what has now been proven to be an illegal bid that the judge did not sign on because they used malicious means to block favorable bidders to Alex Jones. I can imagine Elon Musk has probably put a bid in there too, if I recall. And they basically stole InfoWars. And they had this like really pissy, shitty attempt at humor where they like, we're going to say InfoWars disinfo. Like it was really like soylenial irony humor, like which is basically what the Onion is. And their CEO had this like stupid article about why they purchased InfoWars and that they're going to turn into the thing and the Sandy Hook families help them purchase it. And I shouldn't say what I actually think about that, because then let's not risk
Yeah, let's not, please.
Prude's channel. But let's say I'll put it this way, my sympathy grows thin, put it that way. And so Alex Jones, they bought it as a joke to basically, they bought the name of InfoWars and maybe the tape library. The tape library that's basically just been pirated on BitChute anyways, of all those years that Alex Jones was on the air. And so now it's been ruled by a judge that what they did was illegal, and that actually that they have to have a legit and a fair auction. And so that means that people that are favorable to InfoWars, such as Elon Musk, could potentially buy it now. But the thing is, it doesn't really matter, because Alex Jones will continue on. Alex Jones doesn't need the name InfoWars. Alex Jones is InfoWars. And let me say to the people that replied, that are on the political right, that said, oh, well, Alex Jones is a clown, and it's a good thing that they got rid of him, because then better voices can crop up. But you have to look at the history. You have to be like an old head like me. Where Alex Jones, before Trump, was considered like an alt culture, like semi-mainstream figure. Because he had kind of like Art Bell. Because he had such a wide array of people that he would bring on to InfoWars. And he wasn't as explicitly coded as right wing. But it's just that people were so starved of any contrary opinion to mainstream regime opinion that Alex Jones then became quote unquote right wing, right? But here's the thing, you can disagree all you want. But the model of destroying a figure that the state has deemed an enemy because of things that he said. Now, were families of 9/11, were they suing the loose change people? I think some of them kind of tried to, but it didn't go anywhere. Because you could believe anything. You could believe that Jonestown didn't happen. You could be like a weirdo third world Jackson Hinkle and believe like the Holodomor didn't happen for whatever reason, or that it was exaggerated. But I mean, there's another thing that people deny that people actually did go to jail for. The point being is that it was such a state of exception. It was so clear that those people were being used as pawns to destroy Alex Jones. But what I don't understand is that even if you don't like Alex Jones and you're on the political right, they're going to do that to you. And so by getting rid of Alex Jones, that's going to create a more perfect right-wing media environment. It doesn't seem to work out that way. It's sort of like when people criticize Trump for not being a certain way. It's like, okay, what's the alternative? To lose forever? Or let me give you an example. Stefan Molyneux. He was the first even before Alex Jones. And people like, well, Stefan Molyneux was a clown.
They nicked him for the coup.
Exactly. Well, and for talking about race and IQ. That was the real...
Well, they got him. I remember literally just the week or so they got him. The two things he talked about was how the borders had been there were some travel restrictions due to the coup, and he was breaking down the Ahmaud Arbery case in the cell phone video.
Yeah. So the point being is that they all went after him at once, every social media platform, to where he's in his website, Free Domain Radio, and in his BitChute ghetto, right? Oh yeah, and Andrew Anglin too, for the Daily Stormer. But the point being is that you could see these people are clowns, or that Stefan Molyneux was running a Defu cult, and there's a lot of sussy baka shit when it comes to the Defu cult, or that Alex Jones makes us look bad. But then when you clear them away, it's the same logic that they use with Trump. It's the same logic. You know what that logic is? Is that, oh, well, these people are a state of exception, and the regime and all of the institutions of power that get rid of them, that they're going to use that only this once. And then they're going to go back to a free meritocracy where you can rise or fall based on your purity of ideas or whatever. And the people that keep their nose clean, that they're not going to be molested by these social media giants and by the government, right? That's the same logic that they use when it comes to Trump. that, only let us do this once, that we're going to welch on all of our principles, and we're going to weaponize every institution, and then we promise, we pinky swear, that we're going to go back to things being quote-unquote normal after we got rid of this evil fascist state of exception. That's the logic you use when you say that, it's a good thing that they got rid of Alex Jones. It's a good thing that they got rid of Stefan Molyneux. Hey, even it's a good thing that they got rid of Andrew Anglin or Mike Enoch or whoever. Or even, hey, Nick Fuentes, whatever. The point being is that it's the same logic that the leftoids use when it comes to Trump, when it comes to everybody, that they're not good enough, that they're a fascist, and therefore they should be treated with this utmost exception, that they're the Muslim, they're the Homo sacer, and that we're going to go back to things being normal when we get rid of this super special threat, when all of the Avengers come together to get rid of Thanos, right? So when you see people in the political right, and you don't have to agree with Alex Jones. You don't have to, you could say that he's like a Israel shill, or that he like makes us look bad. And you know what? Some of that shit may be true. Yeah, he said a lot of crazy shit over the years. But a world without Alex Jones is a world in which you too will be targeted. And that's just the fact. They did that with Stefan Molyneux. And you know what? As much as I don't agree with his tactics, as much as I think he may be a fucking clown, they did that to Andrew Anglin, right? They tried doing it to everybody else. They did that with Millennial Woes. They did that with everybody. But you say that, he's a clown. But he's our fucking clown, right? And the thing is, Alex Jones has brought a lot of people to the political right, whether you want to agree or not. And so, I don't know, maybe it's my nostalgia talking, because when I was in high school, I used to listen to it when he was still on YouTube. But the thing is, like, okay, you can disagree with somebody. You can disagree with their tactics. You can disagree. You could say they look like a clown. But there's something about Alex Jones that's kind of like in the same way with Trump. There's something about him as this American traveling minstrel and this carnival barker that is something very unique to Americana. And there's something there. And so that's why I will never counter-single Alex Jones. And so I just really don't understand when right-wingers say, well, it's a good thing if the state crushes Alex Jones, because then my super serious, super important political project can be unmarred by the clown show that is Alex Jones, the clown show that is Stefan Molyneux, or even the clown show that's TRS, the clown show that's Millennial Woes, the clown show that's Jared Taylor, or the clown show that's who else do they really go after? Vox Day. I mean, I think Vox Day is kind of a clown, but they all canceled him at once. Oh, but Vox Day was a clown, so it doesn't matter if they get rid of him. They're never going to come for me, right? So when you see these right-wingers that counter-single Alex Jones, I really don't get it. And you could disagree with me. You could say I'm an idiot, whatever. You could say that Alex Jones is a shill. And, maybe he is. Maybe he doesn't touch certain things. Maybe he doesn't go after certain topics. Maybe he does have blind spots. Maybe he does say crazy shit. But it's like, we all say crazy shit that doesn't turn out to be true. Does that mean that the state has the right to go after you and do a totally illegal bid and rob everything that you created for years? You know what I mean? Like, fuck, man. Like, it's, I don't know. I spoils my blood in a way. And, rant over.
I don't think that he's calling them clowns, but other people will say they're clowns when they get banned or whatnot.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was a great line or a great point that I had heard from Jeff Deist, of all people. And I have a lot of respect for Jeff Deist and all the work that he's done over the years. And he had said, because he's friends with Pete Quinones. And of course, Pete is not the libertarian that he was several years ago. And Pete is a friend of mine. And Jeff Deist had said, people would often contact me about what Pete says or who he has on. And I would always respond the same way and say, yep. I said, okay, Pete's a friend. And he would leave it at that. And I thought, what a great rhetorical disarmament. He's a friend. And I say that about a lot of people that I'm friends with. And I say that about a lot of people that I may not know. Yeah. But I also know that you can say a lot of things. And I mean, we had this in an episode with Barack Obama a while back, was just that, the free speech aspect that came in the 2010s era was really just a legitimate liberal impulse in America and in the West. Like, it was legitimate. There was this desire for actual free speech. I mean, and to the point where you have the world's richest man who's actually acting on that impulse. And that's something to behold. Now, on top of all of that, you have, and again, this goes back to the crab bucketing, the fighting, the purity spiraling that's going to emerge when all these things take place. Someone gets banned, good. I can maybe snatch up some of his viewers. Someone got demonetized, good. More money for me.
Yeah.
And it's that sort of adversarial and monetized mindset.
That was like the WWE interview with Randy Orton, where he's like, see, that's the way it works in wrestling. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to injure you, but if you're injured, if you're on the injury list, if you're on the shelf, well, maybe I'll take your title spot now. Maybe I'll take your spot. That's the way it works, right? I mean, hey, a lot of people do. A lot of people that I don't like, they do that, right? I've never taken anybody's fucking spot. And even though people have, stolen off of us, but it's like, who cares? It's the way it works. I mean, whatever, right? Like, you can disagree with somebody, but I'm not going to say that the world, our enemies, should go after them, right? There's a guy that people are talking about in chat that you all hate. And, I may disagree with him as well. And I think he's done some despicable shit. But I'm not going to say that the state should go after him. Same with Null. Like, should Kiwi Farms go down? He's been harassed by world governments. He's been harassed by activists. But they host my talks. That's why I hate him, right? But that's the whole point. It's just one last thing I'll say is that when Trump went on Alex Jones in 2016, that's when the regime decided to destroy him. And the way that they thought was the easiest is the way that people would garner the most sympathy. And that was his trial with the families of that certain event. And that's, and like, you could say that I'm being insensitive or whatever, but okay, fine. I mean, yeah, those people, they suffered a lot, but you could still say that they're being used as pawns. That's the whole point. When
Trump they don't have a problem
Wars,
being used as pawns either.
They have no problem. Yeah, exactly. Well, the point being is that when Trump went on InfoWars, that's when they decided to destroy Alex Jones, right? Stefan Molyneux was kind of like an exception because he wasn't even like that bad when it came. He wasn't like on the level of he wasn't on the fucking level of Andrew Anglin, but they went after him anyways.
Well, he had when he got banned from YouTube, he had nearly 1 million subs.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And so, over 900,000, 900,000 subs plus. And then all of a sudden, and you're talking about issues that feel, for like YouTube purposes, like we're talking about detailed breakdowns on everything from how daycare is bad for your kids to race and IQ to breaking down how, virtually every incident that white people get arrested for when it comes to interactions with African Americans is, actually, provable to a point that actually, no, these guys are being politically persecuted because they're white. And so, yeah, of course they're going to take them down. And there was a perfect state of exception to do this. And we've seen this time and time again with the adpocalypses on YouTube, Millennial Woes, the Iconoclast, so many of other people, especially in the European right, more so than the Americans, facing the most insane levels of censorship to a point where, prison sentences and things like that. And it raises the interesting question of like, how are they going to endure? Well, it's
a mainstream
once you cross the line, it's over. And they know this.
A mainstream letter of records paper in Scotland, I think the biggest paper in Scotland, gave out Millennial Woes Colin's actual address for his street name, his home address. Okay. An actual paper, a mainstream paper, doxed him, gave out his full address, not just his full name, his full address and everything. And a reporter went to his house, and that famous photo where he woke up and his shirt was kind of like disheveled. You know that photo, right?
Yeah.
They doxed his father. They doxed his mother, his other associates. So like, yeah, man, like it's, you could say the Millennial Woes, he fucked up along the way or whatever. But it's like, I don't know, man. Like, that's fucking evil. That's evil.
But also,
even recently, the recent shit with Nick Fuentes, I don't agree with some, like, deranged Antifa person going to his house. Like, come on, man. Like, you're not going to... I understand. You may have a disagreement with a guy, and you may... I shouldn't talk about this publicly. But, like, put it this way. I'm not going to side with an Antifa person that's going to go to someone's house and harass them. Now, could he have handled it a bit differently? Yeah. Is he going to get legally fucked? Probably. But I mean, if someone went to your house that you knew that they were an ideological enemy, wouldn't you be afraid? Right? So
I mean,
yeah,
I live in Texas. Things are a little different. Not that I want to implicate myself in anything.
Prude, what if Olivia Giuliana showed up on your doorstep? What would you do?
I would say hello and call ICE. And then ask her why she's there.
You're gonna make a fat joke. You're gonna like offer her ice cream or something.
No. I mean, if for whatever reason that person decided to come to my home, I mean, for starters, that means my address has been doxed.
Yeah,
and that means I have probably got an attorney. And I have a family friend who's an attorney that I would probably call for an instance like that. And then I would probably start seriously analyzing what do I need to do to get the hell out of there and to avoid that. Because unfortunately, that's a serious. I mean, I'm not a homeowner yet, so I don't really have to worry about. I could get a different place, but I mean, the point being that in those situations, like this is what and I mean, of course, the media ecosystem kind of enjoys the benefits to some extent of when the state goes after certain people. And we all know what that looks like. Oh, it's like, oh, someone got banned. Oh, someone got doxxed. Good riddance. Because the crap bucketing is there. And of course the crap bucketing is there because there are plenty of people in this media ecosystem that you either like or that you despise.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can already see it in the chat being polarized over certain people. Like, oh, so-and-so is like a piece of garbage. So-and-so is like
a fed. Yeah.
So-and-so's a fed. So-and-so's like a pedo or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, the point being is that
Millennial Woes got me tooed by the deranged woman.
Oh yeah, absolutely fucking insane stuff.
Yeah.
But the point is going to be is that your principles should be consistent with who your friends are. And your principles should be consistent with people whose principles are the same as yours, and you should be building consensus that way. Now, oftentimes that means that you might be put into the unpopular position where you want to defend someone that you may not necessarily like or that you find to be morally abhorrent. And I mean, that I guess becomes the question of how high your tolerance is, but your position should really be for your friends, not your enemies.
Well,
as the old saying goes, for my friends, everything, and to my enemies, the law.
Yeah. No, but like, for example, like with Andrew Anglin, right? Like, not that I agree with him, not that I like, I mean, but I think like, I don't know, that's different because when you actually like, if you like actually read the Daily Stormer back in the day, it was like so over the top that it was kind of like a right-wing Onion. It was kind of like if the Babylon Bee was like socialistic nationalist. It was so over the top that I don't think like people read the Daily Stormer for the news. Like they didn't read it for takes. They read it because it was funny. It wasn't, not to say like, okay, people get offended or whatever. Not to say I'm condoning it, but like at the end of the day, like reading the Daily Stormer, no one, I will eat my fucking fez on air if anyone took the Daily Stormer seriously. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think the average frog that was reading it for the the content was a humorous thing. It wasn't like, not that I don't agree with that, like over the top, bombastic, using expletives. I don't agree with that, but like, I'm not defending Andrew Anglin. I'm just saying that the case that people made for the state to go after him was ridiculous because like anyone can publish deranged shit. It's just, you know what I mean? Like, it's,
well, sure, anyone can publish deranged shit and say whatever they want. Like someone had shared with me the snippet of his Cormac McCarthy quote unquote eulogy, which was and again, like you have to read that through. To me,
that was terrible.
I could not help but think this guy has to be playing an elaborate bit. I don't know him from Adam, nor do I want to. But it's just like
I took it seriously.
But at the same time, okay, the whole you take it seriously thing. You might be eating your fez quicker than you realize because I'm sure that there were some that did. And then some that thought that he was.
You're right. Yeah.
So, I mean, like, someone's going to hold you to account on eating your fez live on air. The point being, however...
No, but, like, serious enough to, like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean...
Serious enough to what? Serious enough to what?
No, but exactly. No, but that's what I mean. Like, apart from, like, a certain rallies or whatever, it's not like people... Like, okay, there were people that read Alex Jones and then later protested Bilderberg. Or, like... Luke Rudowski confronting Henry Kissinger. But like, to put it this way, the narrative of radicalization, I have a deep, deep skepticism of the way that people talk about it. That if you read the Daily Stormer, or even if you watch Alex Jones, or even if you watch something as innocuous as Jordan Peterson, that you're gonna start Fed posting in real life. I personally think that's bullshit. I think that take has like been used. That take has been weaponized by the political left to demonize people. And for every one person that goes out there and LARPs with a club or whatever, or goes in the streets and fights with Antifa, there's a million people that don't do that shit.
Sure,
you know what I mean? So I don't know.
It's just, I'll play devil's advocate for this.
It's very dangerous when you say that you're comfortable with the state coming in and censoring people.
No one should be. No one should be unless it's legitimate. Well, and again, the question for what is legitimately dangerous or what is a threat is all going to be subject to your political priors. But like, I'll play devil's advocate just for 2 seconds, and I'll play the bad guy, and you can rake me over the coals. But like, were any of the
Daily Stormer?
No. But I mean, just like political radicalization.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Is it not real?
It's real to an extent, but not the way that it's framed in terms of like a sort of frame game against the political right. But yeah, go ahead, Prude. What do you mean?
But I mean, okay, so a frame game issue, sure. But like all questions of radicalization are about frame. And so it's just like, for example, in 2016, prior to him dropping out of the race, I was a pretty much bog of the line, Rand Paul supporting, I phone banked and campaigned for the guy, conservatarian type. I am very much farther to the right now than I am, in 2016, nearly 10 years ago. So what would be the argument to make? A lefty or someone like Jason Wilson would argue that I have been sufficiently radicalized and that I am considered a threat and the state should go after me.
Yeah, but that's their moral framework. That
I get it. I know. I conceded the point about it's about frame and it's about political priors. But the question now, but this goes back to the point: who's got power?
Oh yeah, true. Andrew Anglin does not have any power.
No, he doesn't. No. But the state does. And if there is one person out there that finds, that reads him, believes him, repeats his points, tries to do his own spin-off thing, would not the powers that be look upon that and say that person has been sufficiently radicalized and ergo is an insider threat?
Yeah, I get your point. Yeah.
And so again,
I'm just saying it was
all the more reason why the left should be destroyed. However, we also know that in the evolutionary pressure environments of our online media ecosystem, as much as that kind of stuff can be rewarded on Twitter and on other platforms, I'm
not like pro Andrew Anglin. I'm
not saying that you are. I want to make that very clear.
No,
I'm not saying that you are.
Clear for any Fed that's listening to this. I'm not like pro Daily Stormer. I'm just saying like it's kind of a bit ridiculous to say that like. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't consent to the narrative that we should get rid of people because
I don't either.
They publish naughty things. Yeah.
This would be the old like 2016 liberal free speech argument was that listen, true. You're going to have to make the choice whether or not you think he's worth listening to. Right. And I mean, most people are going to probably make that decision. And I think that anyone on this side of things is more or less rational enough to make a decision about who they want to listen to or who they don't want to listen to. But can I say that about the average person who is more open to social norms and is highly agreeable? No. They'll believe whatever the Guardian has to tell them. They'll believe whatever that Mueller she wrote moron has to say. Because those were the people who were given acceptable terms of power at the time. Now the question is going to become, and I think this is what we need to be paying attention to as the media ecosystem evolves and as we slowly enter the post-Trump era of politics, even though he's the president-elect, there will be a time that comes after him. This is what happens with the millennials that are older, who are on the left. What happens to these rich billionaire Mark Elias types, who are the lawyers and the funders and all these other groups that are trying to make sure that America's elections continue to slide into third world status. I think that we are on the precipice of a major change in how these things are processed, how politics is practiced, and how the world around us is going to be perceived and acted upon. I think that a lot of things will stay the same, yes, but a lot of things media-wise are going to be very, very different. There's a lot of social, I would say that like trad cons or whatever that you want to call them. They have now witnessed that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and them, despite J.D. Vance being on paper, a Roman Catholic, although he's in a mixed race and mixed faith marriage, which has got to be difficult to be faithful.
Yeah, he's in Silicon Valley thing.
And Silicon Valley, of course. So it's just like,
look at the comments. Gio is the top commenter on the Daily Star. Gio is England's top guy in 2016. No, I read maybe like a handful of articles at one point in like 2017. I'm like, this is like so over the top. It was kind of funny. Like I didn't like take the Daily Stormer seriously. I wasn't like,
what's that old tweet? I said I went to the Daily Stormer to get hurricane information. I know nothing about the storm, but I'm pretty sure I know who's behind it.
Yeah, I went to Penthouse to read the articles from
So, but I mean, the point being is that we're on the precipice of this changing media ecosystem, and so a lot of people, a lot of these camps, a lot of these fandoms, a lot of these GCs, and everything like that, so much of it's going to change. A lot of it is going to have to either evolve or it's going to happily stay in place, slap and tickle and grab ass with their perceived enemies on the internet. Now, are some of those enemies probably real or feds or assets? Yeah, probably some of them.
Oh, yeah, some probably are, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Now, the question's just going to be, what are people like us who've now achieved a political victory? And my position has been, and as I have written, we've merely bought ourselves 4 more years.
Yeah.
What do you do with those 4 years? Are you going to play grab ass, or are you going to try and do something about it? And then people will be like, well, you're saying the same thing we've been saying for years. We need to become worthy. We need to organize. We need to have parallelism. And I get it. Okay, the question now is going to be, will it be more than just words? And I literally just got, and I'm going to bitch about my job for a second. I just had this very lengthy, boring strategic planning meeting, a literal 5-year plan. Stalin won in the end.
5-year plan.
5-year plan for strategic goals for this region for economic development. And I'll shut up. But I mean, my point is that a guy had pointed out, he says, I'm new to this and it's nice to network and to meet these people, but like, you actually need to work with the people who aren't in this meeting. Business owners, government officials, elected officials, to actually get things done. And I know you're giggling in chat, but the point being,
sorry, Prince, sorry.
The point is that, and I saw, and I don't agree with him very much because he's a very hardcore libertarian in a lot of ways. But that Kaufman guy, the New Hampshire dude, he had pointed out this tweet about the State Board of Education and how you have these groups for trans kids and in girls sports or whatever.
Yeah.
And he had pointed out, he's like, oh, like these trans groups and like the libs of TikTok have been arguing for months, and not a single one of them knew the process of how these people even got on the board or how these rules got implemented. And we talk about media literacy because the left likes to bitch about it every time someone mentions Starship Troopers and fascism. But actual political literacy with the rules that are in place will make you a king among normies if you know how the system gets played. There's a reason why some of the richest people in politics aren't elected officials, but they're consultants. If you know how the system works and if you know how to bend the rules to your favor, you do it. I mean, hell, I'm a middling bureaucrat, but it's just like, I've been helping our friends to get the right things that they need to do for contracts and to get procurement and to be selected for grant money. That way, hey, my friends can one day get paid by Uncle Sam and get a nice taste of Uncle Sugar there because the taxpayer dime is pretty fucking lucrative. So, I mean, I think that we're going to witness some change, and we're going to witness the powers that be that have kind of shifted rightward, or those emerging people on the right, the Nate Fishers or the Elon Musks of the world. They're going to play ball, and some people who make it are going to make it, and a lot of people, and potentially ourselves included, may just be left as the media wayside as an alternative media taste for us to cover weekly cultural topics week to week. Who knows?
Wait, can you hear me?
Yes.
I don't know. They're like telling there was like a weird noise that your mic made, but they assumed it was me.
Oh no, it may have been me. Forgive me.
Gio died. Gio's cat jumped on his face. Gio's down. No, but you guys, I really opened up a can of worms even mentioning the Daily Story because you guys look at Goran. I know Gio's secret alt he wrote for the Daily Story.
Gio is Richard Host.
Yeah, it's called Richard Host. That was my secret all when I wrote for the Daily Star. Gio, Andrew Anglin personally put Gio in charge of 400 Panzer tank divisions. He couldn't trust anybody else. You guys actually believe that I wrote for the Daily Stormer. It was like some guy thought I wrote for Radex. I never wrote for Radex. I hate Richard Spencer. I'm not,
So, well,
you guys are gonna get me in trouble. But my point, listen to reiterate.
Rip monetization for this stream.
Oh my god! Do you think if we even mention the Daily Storm, we get demonetized?
It's too late, Gio.
It's too late. No, it's too late.
I'm just gonna ask you all kindly in the audience to give deeply.
I don't agree with Andrew Anglin. I don't agree with the heinous stuff he writes in the Daily Stormer. I'm just saying, to outright censorship at that degree is kind of makes me uncomfortable to say the least. And the thing is, there's a difference between writing something bombastic or three guys on a podcast getting together every week to do the friendship simulator where they use expletives for certain demographics and it's funny, and they talk about Star Trek. The point being is that there's a difference between that level of passive content and a lot of the very heinous stuff that goes in a lot of state-backed groups. There's a difference between writing some bombastic crap and taking a vulnerable kid and smuggling them illegal hormones and they're an egg and you name it, right?
Yeah.
Because you were saying, again, some groups have state backing to corrupt the youth. Other groups corrupt the youth for fun, but then they get crushed. And it's not to say that everybody that gets crushed, some people definitely maybe are bad actors and who knows. But the point being is that when it comes to even more semi-mainstream figures like Alex Jones, it sets a very dangerous precedent, right? Because, you could say, oh, well, certain people are ridiculous figures, but then it always seems like the degree that the shelling point, the water, how do I say it? The benchmark by which certain people can get censored and destroyed and have their livelihood stripped from them and debanked, it always seems to go up and up and up. It never retracts. It never says, okay, well, we got rid of these bad people and therefore you're fine because you don't go out of your way to be as bombastic and as offensive as possible, right? So, yeah.
Well, the system isn't designed to go back.
Exactly.
There is no such thing as returning to the old normal. It's always the new normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all. It's how it has been. It's how it will be. There are very few institutions. There are very few things that get to actually stay status quo ante. Very few things. And unfortunately, with our state of politics, when it comes to ruling with power, it's not like a lot of them voluntarily give it up or that they want to give it up, because why would you hang on to it? You don't know when you're going to get kicked off. No, and that's exactly. A basic dark enlightenment point, from years ago, is that I don't know when I'm getting screwed over or when I'm getting voted out of office next. So I'm going to take advantage of every piece of power that I have left.
Might as well double down. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Might as well double down. And so now, we're going to have to operate under those kind of parameters. And that's how it's always been for as long as I've been alive and probably older.
Oh, but once you go after radical leftists, once you go after once you go after Destiny and Vouch, but well, that's just the way the world works, I guess.
Well, again, as the statement goes, for my friends, everything, my enemies, the law. I mean, does that make us all hypocrites? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, of course. But,
oh my gosh, those righties would imprison us. You would do the same for me. It's just tit for tat. At least I'm honest about it. Yeah, I would. Next, you're the same way. You would put me in jail. Next, I'm glad that we can all have a nice conversation about this.
And there are people that even on the political right that are genuinely deranged and who may do some terrible things, but again, you know, I mean,
I would love
yeah.
to. I'm sure he was mentally ill, but I would love to know the podcasts that Justin Moan was listening to.
He seemed like he didn't seem particularly right wing though.
No,
he seemed more of like not a chapel guy, but like he definitely was like into some kind of like parapolitics.
I do want to know what he was listening to. It's just out of morbid curiosity.
I wonder.
Just me. I do wonder. But I mean, again, and there are plenty of people out there, you know, that are a mix of all kinds of things. Whether you would say like, you know, just
like they're definitely people that joke about shit,
or groomable enough, or things like that. You know, like that stuff's out there.
They're definitely like people in our sector that joke about shit that I prefer them not to joke about, or say stuff that I prefer them not to say. But again, yeah, it is. I guess it does come down to a friend-enemy stuff.
It's always going to come down to that.
Yeah.
Who is your acceptable limits for coalitions?
Yeah. Is the Daily Stormer still around even?
I have no idea. I never went on there.
I know like Angling came back to Twitter, but then like these like leftist groups, they kept like reporting his account. So like Elon had no choice but to like get rid of him again. But like he had a good run. He was like on Twitter for like a few months. I wonder, is it still going? I know like TRS is still going, but like I wonder, I don't know. I don't think you can even find it. You have to like, you know what I mean? Like some of the stuff you can't even find. Like certainly you can't find at Google, but like
it is slightly funny that in terms of online, you know, politicking for these sort of things, like .biz was always, you know, I've just been associated with like TRS, and now it's just
the right stuff. .biz,
and now it's been replaced as I guess what you would call a throwback to now it's nightowls.biz, and it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, time is a flat circle, I guess.
Yeah. But anyway.
But yes.
I don't know. I get knee-jerk defensive of Alex Jones. Maybe that's what it is. But I mean, yeah, not that I agree with everything he says. And he does cuck on a lot of issues. That's very true. But then people try to assert that he's a Fed or whatever. Or they'll say like, well, Bill Cooper thought he was a bad actor. But then I believe before Bill Cooper was killed by the FBI, he did like retract some of his statements on calling Alex Jones a Fed. So, I mean, there's a complicated thing there when it comes to like Bill Cooper not liking Alex Jones. But I mean, Alex Jones, but at the same time, like for his inability to talk about certain issues, Alex Jones is surprisingly willing to take lumps from people that are farther to the right than him. So it's not like, you know what I mean? Like there's certain interviews I could think of, well, without getting into specifics, but like he has like taken a lot of lumps over the years when it comes to like people on the right. So I don't know, like to say that he's a Fed. I mean, obviously the Feds have gone after him. Like this is why like I'll never call like I you know, when I was younger, maybe I was playing fast and loose, but now I see that like calling people Feds is a dangerous game to Fed jacket people, because like to me it's like the actions of the state are the ultimate arbiter of like who is a Fed and who isn't, right? Because like even though I disagree with certain IRL groups that do their IRL activism without naming names, if the state is going after them and using the full weight of authority to go after them, my Fed meter is kind of cold in that regard. You know what I mean? Like if the state is clearly persecuting a group, I don't really think they're Feds, unless it's like you want to claim there's some fucking 70 chess stuff. But it's like,
I'm sure that there has been in the past.
I shouldn't swear, Prude. I shouldn't swear, but like,
we're well too late for that.
Yeah, we're 2 hours in. So like, no, but the point being is that like there's certain groups, I'm not going to name names, but like they're Feds, but it's like because they look good or whatever. But like, I just don't see it because the leaders of those groups are being persecuted by the state. So it really calls into question. Yeah, Fed versus grifter. You could call someone a grifter without them being a Fed. God knows there's plenty of grifters in the right, but that's to say that they're like federal agents. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I don't know. I will admit, years ago, I was fast and loose with the Fed accusations, but I don't think, but now I think Fed jacketing is a real concern. And Yeah. So
Well, I mean, even in this tiny little ecosystem that really does punch above its weight, I think, in a lot of ways, unless you're consistently engaging in the actual normie politics. Because again, if you want to be heard, you want to be seen, you got to play the game, and the way to do that is to talk about the everyday stuff. I mean, to a large extent, I mean, outside of some Substack stuff, like. The theory stuff is interesting and fun and entertaining. Don't get me wrong, I like doing it, but I also know that if you want to,
there has been feds in our circles. There has been feds. I mean, look what happened with Douglas Mackey.
I know. That's my point is that on terms of like eyes and ears and content. It's just going to be people are going to engage in the way that they do. Especially when it comes to how do I get heard and how do I get seen. As for the activism thing, I do think that the trauma of, say, like the microchip thing or Charlottesville or January 6th,
J6,
has definitely put sort of a mental, I don't want to say block, but a certain red flag. This means that they're doing XYZ. That they're going somewhere, they're protesting or whatever. That makes them, a fed. That makes them likely to get targeted. That makes them likely, and so people don't do anything. And of course, that keeps people suppressed. That keeps people online. That keeps people from voicing their opinions in ways that used to be just normal politicking. Period. Yeah. And of course, that's going to be something that the right has to deal with. I think that there has been a great shift to the IRL a little more, whether it's, it's New York having the Madison Square Garden rally and people wearing MAGA hats and not, getting beaten or anything like that. Things that would have caused serious bodily injury just a few years ago for being considered Team Trump. And that's normal.
People were beat up at Trump rallies. People forget this in 2016.
You were gonna get harassed, as a white person by just like any random like Hispanic on the street if they thought you were vulnerable. And that happened in 2016
Now they voted for Trump.
Now they voted for him, which is cool. I mean, there's still a lot of like lefty ethnic animus against white people types that are still in this country that I very much hope get deported. But again, it just comes to show that these things are going to change. And everyone knows in this little ecosystem, if you are accused of being a grifter, a traitor, a subversive, whether that be like Jewish or having a mixed race relationship or being considered a fed, those are like the 3 scarlet letters that will like be cast aspersions to your reputation. And they're very quick to do it. People will. And I mean, some people are like, legitimately bad actors. I'm not going to deny that.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I'm not denying that they're bad. Of course, there's bad actors. Of course, there's people that I disagree with who say very ridiculous things that try to go after other people in the right.
I do think, however, some of this crab bucketing stuff will probably stop as we see who the eyes and ears are listening to. And and I think that you're going to see this happen very quickly, and we're watching it happen also in real time as Musk replies to people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
John, what I meant in the chat, John, I meant that Douglas Mackey was betrayed by what we now know was in a group chat of his with only 5 people, Microchip, who was a federal informant. And another Fed who we will not name also stabbed Ricky Vaughn in the back, but that's neither here nor there. So that's what I meant. I don't mean that like Douglas Mackey. Of course, he's not a Fed. I mean, God, the guy went to prison.
He's out on an appellate bond.
Oh, really?
Well,
is he going to serve time again or no?
I don't think so.
Oh, thank God. Yeah, I mean, it's the fact that he served any time at all. The fact that he even went to trial is so fucking ridiculous.
No, I agree. Yeah. And at the same time, he served 7 months, and it's just
thank God, he didn't.
I mean, an American prison is way. I mean, people still get injured and killed and other terrible things, but it's not like in the United Kingdom or other places where a prison sentence for like a white person who complains about immigration, that's a death sentence.
Yeah, like that guy in the UK that put a piece of bacon on a mosque step.
Yeah.
And then a Muslim gang killed him in prison. Yeah.
Yeah. Those things are guaranteed. Like, the state doesn't have the courage. These judges don't have the courage to just give them the death penalty. Yeah. Instead, they outsource it. They literally outsource their own method of execution to foreigners.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Exactly.
It's terrible. And it is true.
Yeah.
And honestly, though, I know that, Starmer's only been elected since his government since earlier this year.
Yeah,
in
the
2024.
summer, yeah.
Yeah, in the summer. It's not, they don't, as unpopular as labor is right now, they don't have to call an election for another 4 years.
Yeah.
They're going to be there for quite some time.
They're going to do a lot of damage.
And I think that Morgoth is right. I think Starmer is happy to double down, and Britain will become sort of this woke North Korea.
Oh God. Ugh. Oh, 5 years. 5 years. Even worse. Yeah. Woke North Korea. Oh my God. I thought Canada was woke North Korea. But, we'll see what happens.
You're on our borders. They're an island, so it's a little different.
Yeah, true. Someone start the Daily Stommer. The Daily Stommer. Oh my God. U.S. prisons are far worse than the UK ones. Yeah, but I mean, U.S. prisons, I'm not going to go over the racial politics of U.S. prisons, but...
I mean, that's just a given. Yeah. You have to join a racial gang. If not, you're probably going to get killed.
Yeah, in the UK, it works differently. Isn't Tommy Robinson going to prison now or something?
I think he's been imprisoned, yeah.
No, I think recently they sentenced him. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Tommy Robinson, but not that I agree he should go to prison, but yeah, it's whatever, man. The UK's, I mean, you always want to have hope, but yeah. I don't know.
I mean, there are people engaging in good politics there.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to cast aspersions on those that are, people that are trying to do their best with, making these issues known, whether it be Steve Laws or others, that stuff does matter, and it should be heard out. I mean, again, but it's just like what we're seeing with them potentially banning the AFD right before an election, which I think they're having an election in January. And it's just okay, we're...
Yeah, the government fell apart in Germany, yeah.
Yeah. Right shortly after the election here in the United States. But of course, that coalition was fragile and tenuous as it was to begin with.
I hate to say it, I kind of agree with AA in chat. Is that the AA?
No.
Or is it someone else?
No, it's someone else.
That'd be crazy if Academic Agent actually listened to us.
He does not.
I don't think he listens to many podcasts. I don't know. Does he listen to something?
I'm sure that he does. I just don't think we're on that list.
Yeah.
I don't think he listens to particularly anyone in the North American continent that much unless they agree with him. That's
true. I agree with him a lot. I don't know. He does go too far sometimes, but it's
I listen to him occasionally, but I don't often.
But anyways, I like his YouTube shorts. He's been doing some good shorts. I like his YouTube shorts.
And again, it kind of goes back to even at the beginning about just sort of technocratic power. If you're encouraged to do shorts because you have to encourage to be seen or heard and get the $1 due, that's the way you do it. You got to do shorts. Yeah. My YouTube little thing tells me all the time when I enter the studio, got to do shorts. You got to do shorts. I don't think I will. I don't have the time.
I got to do more. I got to do more shorts. I like shorts. AA listens to War Strike. Oh my God. Yeah, I think that's where he gets his geopolitical takes from War Strike. He gets it from there in the Duran. So, I get my geopolitics takes from the Duran. So,
I will occasionally listen to them depending on the guest.
I can't believe AA listens to War Strike. That's crazy. Oh man, yeah, he does have. Yeah, you're right. GSP does have very eclectic tastes. Yeah. Oh man, that's funny. But anyways, what else has been in the news? I mean, there's a bunch of other stuff. They're blowing their load on doom mongering. But
well, I mean, the rest is the cabinet politicking, and I don't know if it's.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And
Let's talk about that. Yeah.
I mean, we've been at it for 2 hours. I don't know how much of it is going to be.
I know Keith Woods, he really hates RFK.
RFK's got a lot of liberal priors, and I mean, when he was on the campaign trail, he was very much adamant about racial issues and all sorts of shit. and
he is
like
cut
very
for a lot of
liberal
issues.
opinions. I mean, even before going independent, he was very
And
much.
he does love Israel and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, so does most of this proposed cabinet.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah. What about Tulsi Gabbard? Is she an Israel stan?
I mean, she's director of national intelligence. I'd imagine that position in America is still like the political little o orthodoxy. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not going away anytime soon. I understand that my position towards Israel may be an incredibly minority position in the United States.
Yeah.
That isn't a liberal one. In the i.e. stop genocide or whatever.
Yeah.
And so like, I think that despite the fact he and I may disagree on a lot of things, like I think that what we've witnessed out of Trump this election cycle has been a move to the left on a good degree of social issues.
Yeah.
For exchange of some nativist rhetoric and seeing maybe we get some deportations. I have hope for the border czar, but again, only time will tell. I would love a scorched earth administration. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be pragmatic about these things, and I don't know. I think Keith Woods, he may go a little bit too far, but he has a lot of things he does say about RFK Jr. is correct, and RFK Jr. is kind of like a funny, he's got like a weird eccentricism, but I think like if he does promote like national like healthcare in terms of like thinking about people's habitual health, I think that is a step in the right direction. And I mean, I certainly disagree with people like Hanania and Peter Nemitz on the Clownvid stuff, but like I mean,
it's not even just like the coof. I mean, like, does America have a huge problem with its pharmaceutical industry?
And obesity.
Absolutely. Obesity, pharmaceuticals, almost every single American, even Americans that don't have pre-existing conditions like myself, they're on pills. They're on prescription drugs that they probably don't need. Our idea of fixing obesity is, fucking Ozempic. We don't have fitness. We don't do anything. We don't have a culture that encourages that sort of outdoorsy lifestyle activities. And what we do, it becomes a luxury item for what's considered high class.
Yeah, exactly.
So it would be cool to see pharmaceutical executives get their fucking due. Is it going to probably happen? I remain incredibly skeptical.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing. Like, it's I think like I think it's kind of easier because, like, Keith Woods is in the UK, because here, like, libtards, they really, really hate RFK Jr. But in the American media system, if you're in North America and you're on the political right, it's easy to ignore those points that RFK Jr. does have a lot of libtard talking like libtard positions, and he is like very pro-Israel and stuff like that. Because the media and like the left wing constantly attacks him because of his association with Trump, and because now a lot of like the hippie granola, holistic health stuff, now it's gone from left coded new ageism to like a right coded sort of thing. So I get Keith Wood's point, but yeah, I mean, I pray that RFK Jr. does do some good in severely curtailing the very inhuman and even demonic pharmaceutical industry. But that's my respectful point. And I actually recently bought Keith Woods' book. So I always support fellow people in this thing of ours. And I know a lot of people that we're friends with. I know a lot of people don't like Keith Woods. But, I from what I read in the book, he seems pretty good, and I always support people, and I don't know. Hopefully, maybe Keith Woods will buy my book one day. But it is what it is. Yeah, you can always not that that's what I mean. Like a lot of people have this autism where it's like you have to like 100% agree with somebody, or they're like totally, they're a scarlet letter and fuck them. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There's certain people I have that attitude with, although I think it's justified. But it's just people need to calm down, man. You don't have to agree with everybody and everything. I don't agree with Peter Nemitz on on the clown vid stuff, but it's not to say that like I hate Peter Nemitz, you know, like he says a lot of good things. He has a lot of amazing takes on a genetic history and stuff like that. And but you know, it is, yeah, it's just, anyways.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and again, there are plenty of people I listen to that I'm not
I
going to
have to stop saying it is what it is. I know I say that too much.
It is part of the digital archipelago bingo. Is it is what it is. References to books, references to who we listen to, our IRL interactions and things like that. So, but I mean, again, that's part of this ecosystem.
We all have our blind spots. We
all have blind spots. People are going to offshore their political judgments to groups that they perceive to have more knowledge than the other side on a particular topic. That's just how it has been, because that's the way that the ecosystem is. And that's the way that the media itself is just encouraged to be, which is we encourage that this side of ours, or that, you know, just this whole system, and I hate to be so generalizing, just there is this preponderance, this propensity to make sure that our friends are the ones that we listen to, or that we offshore our opinions to the ones that we listen to. Even if we don't agree with them 100% of the time, they seem to be more well-read than us. So they've made themselves to be the guy, the specialist, the so-and-so. And so you want to listen to them, and you want to be that person that gets to tune in and understand where they're coming from and their perspective on things. And of course, that just means that, you know, if your timeline reflects that to some extent, then hey, you get to be part of the group chat. You get to be part of the cool kids club, and you too can engage in the same sort of like calling someone you don't like an idiot in the GC, and then formulating a plan of attack, and all the drama ensues. And again, some of that is going to survive in this upcoming, you know, new presidency, new administration, and then some of it will die out. Like, you know, everyone's got their cycle of their peaks and goes. A friend of mine had said that, you know, some movements or some personalities, they get maybe 1 or 2 good election cycles, and if you're actually if you're really good at it, you know, you can last a lot longer, but that takes a lot of work. And so we'll see, you know, like
some people chase prior highs forever. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And some people will pay a much
lolcows. Yeah.
Some people become a lolcow, and some people unfortunately become targets of the state.
Yeah. But, well, I mean, AA gets under a lot of people's skin. I don't see why, though. I like AA. I mean, I know. Okay, sorry. Let me rephrase that. I know why people wouldn't like AA, but I think I don't know. Am I foolish to assume that behind his very cynical and kayfabe heel exterior that he has a heart of gold? Am I foolish to assume that? I don't know. You're not gonna say. You don't have to say anything.
I'm not going to say anything. Not because I have bad things to say about him. I mean, I have plenty of things I disagree with him on. But I will say that.
Yes, you are foolish.
No. I'm not.
Yes.
Yeah, to some extent. But I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything too mean about him. I will say that. What he does with his life and what he does with his work and his stuff, even if you disagree with him, that man at the end of it all does actually put his family first, and I think that is a very admirable quality when you are as big as you are, and the man will, you know, defends his family, defends his daughter, and I find that incredibly admirable. And I will be nice, and I will try to not be I will try my best to be less caustic.
Yeah. You know, I mean, we all can get kind of moody and thin-skinned, you know? Like,
God knows I am.
Yeah, like...
God knows I can be moody and thin-skinned and be a real piece of shit sometimes. I'd like to get better at that.
There's some people, like... I don't know if I should say this. I remember Keith Woods actually said this to me one time. He goes, Gio, you know... there's certain people that like you hate them, and it's like their whole work is totally invalid because you hate them. I go, yeah, you're right. There's a very few people on that list, but there are people on that list regardless that if I don't like them, it's like their whole work is totally invalid, and they're a piece of shit, and you know, and it's over for them. But that list is very small though. That list is very small. Yeah. So, I don't know if I could say this, but proceeds to say it.
Yeah, many such cases on this show. It was very funny last week when Boyce was calling you out. We're like, quit being so damn paranoid.
Yeah. I will admit there are people on that list, but I mean, I like to keep it a small list. But without naming names, there are certain people I find just totally abhorrent and just they really get under my skin. Well, I will name names. One of them obviously is Richard Anania. And there's a certain person that can't enter the United States because he has an APB for his arrest in Minnesota nationwide recently that I also do not like whatsoever. And I quite enjoy A-logging, but let me say no more. There's a few other names. There's a few other names, but yeah,
Oh, there you go.
Apparently he's going to AA now. I mean, actually, Alcoholics Anonymous, and never mind. Let's not talk about Ralph Email lore at the end of the stream. Let's go to super chats then.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, the Digital Archipelago, since this episode is definitely not monetized, is brought to you by viewers like you. I would highly recommend that if you wish to ask a question or to send a super chat or to send $100 for me to review a piece of media, particularly film or television or a book, then do let me know. You can send it via Entropy. I would prefer you to do that. It takes much of a smaller cut than YouTube does. Plus, I don't like to give Google and big stuff like that your money. But I will start with the Entropy super chats first, and then we will conclude with the YouTube ones as per usual. So off to Entropy, and I'll refresh Entropy here real quick, and we will get started.
Yeah.
Seneca begins by saying some Missouri lore. The Palmyra massacre occurred during the Civil War. Confederate Colonel Porter captures a USA informant, but releases him outside Palmyra. The informant later disappears, and so USA Colonel McNeil takes 10 Confederate prisoners at random and kills them at Palmyra as revenge. This is why I despise both sides during the American Civil War. There's your piece of weekly Missouri lore. Sorry, I just noticed because you can change your name and stuff like this with on
Entropy. Yeah.
So Owen Zaleski has changed his name. That I think it's funny. But Sam153 says poor Colin Mockery. I didn't realize that his son had done that. Keep on keeping up the vibe, boys. Well, thank you, Sam. I greatly appreciate it.
You.
So this is from Owen Zaleski because I recognize the profile picture. But his username on this place is really fucking funny. He says, Prude loves to block e-girls. So yeah, I do. Block e-girls. Yes, I do. It's very true. He says, hello, gents. I'm glad to hear that you were both in top form today. Gio still hasn't made an art stream since December 27th, 2020. Also, Gio, did you see that suggestion I made about Luce or Luce in regards to cute? I believe that you mentioned works on the subject. God bless.
Oh yeah, because I was rereading that book, Cute, because I'm writing. There's this one like subchapter in the book about Donald Trump and that Mike Diva commercial he did in the fake commercial, the Japanese Kawaii Donald Trump in 2016, and it's going to be called Trump and the Power of Cute. I was trying to. It's a very complicated book, but also the book by Amy Ireland, Cute Acts, Cute Acceleration is another. It's a small book, but it's a complicated one. That's another work in the whole genre of cute. So, but the book, I forget what the book's called. It's called The Power of Cute or something like that. There's also this grad student that wrote a book on Baudrillard, postmodernism, and Japanese otaku culture. I think you can still find it on LibGen. I forget the exact title, but it also goes into like anime and manga and otaku culture, and also this concept of cuteness. So yeah.
All right, well, we'll move on to the next one, he says, this is from Pac-Man Respecter. He says, any blog recommendations a la Conundrum Cluster's history articles? My GF loves history, especially Britain and Eastern Europe, and I print those articles out to send her along with letters, but I've run out of esoteric revisionist histories. Oh, man, as for blogs that do that, I don't know, Pac-Man Respecter. I wish Apostolic Majesty would write some damn historical pieces and essays, but I don't know, Pac-Man Respecter, but because I just buy a lot of history books, or I ask recommendations for books, so I don't know about articles. But you know what? I will make it an effort to go find some and to see if any are good or any are interesting, and I will go make some recommendations hopefully next week. So there you go. No. So on to the YouTube ones. Cordy sends $5 Canadian. He says, I'd buy a Great Recession core playlist, some syrup to make it happen. Well, now I should make up like a 2008 like recession core playlist. That would be fun. American Arbiter, I love his profile picture. He says, Gio talking about democratic women is single-handedly preventing Italians from beating the horniness allegations. So true.
Come on, you guys like cinema? Come on. Can't lie.
Hugo GLZ56 for 50 Mexican pesos. He says, now that the election is over, I can recommend The Apprentice, the Trump biopic. Great acting, fair for Hollywood, just kind of fun. The pacing is weird. Is this the movie that just came out, Hugo?
Did it just come out?
Did it? If it did, okay. I mean, I
thought it was going to be a total hit job, but like, if it's
I saw clips that made it sound like a hit job, but I mean, I might, if someone sends me $100, I will review it. But Jay Ford renewing his channel membership for 7 months. Thank you very much.
For 7 months.
A loyal frog. He says, so true. Very true indeed. We love to say so true.
You know, because that's like the Kick thing. What do they call it? Subs?
It's like the Twitch thing.
So Medicare Masochist for 15 subs. What's like one sub? How much money is that?
Oh, I think it's like on here it's like $1.99. It's like $2 and you get the same benefit. It's the same price as the lowest tier on Subscribe Stars. I mean, you get to see stuff early and things like that and support my work, which is always beneficial. But no, I appreciate it, Jay Ford. And also this goes back to that tweet I think we were talking about last week or whatever, where someone had said, that like Obama is completely irrelevant because no one remembers his speeches, whereas like Trump can tweet and everyone has like incorporated it into their lexicon. Like so true, nasty woman,
truth,
many such cases. But this is a very generous super chat from an already generous Subscribe Star tier supporter. But preservatism since $50.
$50.
Thank you very much. He says, every left-wing psyop has a lasting effect on the vulnerable and ideologically captured. There are still people who wear masks. Left-wing racial animus won't go anywhere either. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
It's true.
This is why the whole debate about the woke being put away is pointless, because these things are still entrenched ideologically, systemically, and in law. They're not going anywhere.
Yep.
Like the anti-white bias of the left, and also a lot of just self-hatred of white guys in general. That it's not going away. I absolutely agree. Preservatism's right.
Yeah, they're not going to get so demoralized as to deprogram them. That's not. I mean, it didn't happen to us, did it? So we just got worse.
Not. I hope not.
I think it's different. Like, because this is what I meant by, well, at least partially what I meant by the bringing up like people like Stefan Molyneux or Andrew Anglin or even Alex Jones. When you are in a position of power and you are entrenching your ideological positions or reifying it, that is a much different experience than if you are on the outskirts of political power and you are very much subject to the punishment of the law. And that compels you to go further into your ideological milieu. Those two things are quite different. To be on the far left means that at least in part you have some state backing. To be on the far right means you are an enemy of the state. Or at least, well, we'll see what happens with Trump. But like, let's say, for argument's sake, in terms of the entrenched managerial institutions, even with Trump, you are still largely the enemy. Those two things are quite different in terms of phenomenological experience, but also in terms of just actual reality. Not just subjective experience, but in terms of the reality of both things. For the radical left to go further in that regard is much different, right? Now, I think it's a unique situation because you have people on the far left who, for really the first time in our lifetimes, have been told no. And that is like a devastating existential crisis to a narcissist.
Yeah.
Not to psychologize all politics, but let's face it, a lot of politics is psychological and biological and so forth. So that is sort of like a devastating cutoff of narcissistic supply. And so we'll see what that does, as opposed to being on the political right and already being persecuted and already being told that you're evil, and then going further, quote unquote, being radicalized. So those two things are quite different. We will see what happens for the first time ever, really. The political left being told no in a very significant way. The cultural left, more than even in geopolitics. Geopolitics is debatable, especially during the Bush years. But like, in terms of the cultural left, we will see what happens when they've finally been told no. They could just double down on being monsters, or maybe some of them might have a different reaction than when we were being persecuted various times in the political right. So, and you have to realize these people come up with fantasies that we're the real ones in charge, that corporations support.
Oh
us.
yeah, like I've taken up Barack Obama's recommendation to listen to that Know Your Enemy podcast.
Oh God,
no, because it is so fascinating to get into the mind of these guys, where they think that like there's a million Elon Musks like running things in America, and it's like we're just so close to living in a in a national syndicalist corporatist state. And I'm just like, holy shit, you guys are insane.
we do live in
we are, but they just don't have to be like libtards. But yeah, no,
it's rainbow neoliberalism, really.
Yeah, I mean it's just 90s neoliberalism with just way more gay shit in it.
Yeah.
Robert Weisenfeld says, we are failing on food and drugs. Rogan called us a bunch of medicated whales, which is very true. More of the same makes no sense. Give RFK a shot, if not just the vaccine. No, it's the same reason why I voted for Trump in 2016 after all my preferred candidates lost. I was like, better than this crazy lady, and he'll be a bull in the china shop. And I doubled down on that when I voted for Megan in 2020, and I voted for him in 24. So no, I'm open to anything. I just hope that this administration is more disciplined than the last one, and he doesn't get fucked over like he did in the first one.
Of course, yeah.
Bloodbase says, they found a dead worm in my brain.
For $9.99.
So true.
Yeah.
It is Guinan's birthday today. Happy birthday to the sage.
Happy birthday to Rene Guinan, and he's smiling down on us from heaven, and I hope he's achieved the fakir. And yeah, so go and read Guinan.
Yeah. Port Film Co-op for $2 Australian says the Decameron Film Festival is coming up November 20th. That's right. Frody managed to get Decameron up. I need to actually get back to him because I'm on Decameron this year. I have somehow been magically invited back. I don't know why, but I'm very gracious.
You mean to tell me that he invited you back when your co-host is Azir? That's crazy.
Well, also because I picked a terrible fucking movie choice for him last time I was on. But no, I need to pick my date to review it and fix our time difference issues. But I am going to be reviewing and discussing the Corey Haim film, The Prayer of the Roller Boys. For those, is that 1990?
What?
Oh yeah. There is a lot of shit in there that I think is super applicable, not only to our political scene, but our media ecosystem as well. And I'll have a Substack review out on it so my points are fleshed out. That way, Frody and I can talk about it in depth. But yes, that's what I'm going to cover with him.
When's Last Things Film Festival coming out?
I don't know. Usually December time frame.
Okay.
So
is Millennial happening this year?
Yeah, Millennial is happening this year.
Okay.
He's already got his guests lined up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's been announcing them on Telegram, dude.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Shame on you.
I thought he was going to invite us this year.
You can ask him.
I don't want to ask him. It's kind of like begging, you know? I don't know.
Well, then...
I think he forgot. I remember last year he said he wanted us both on, like, as DA, but maybe he just...
Oh, well, maybe we just invite Woz on for DA.
Oh, we could do that. Yeah, we could do that. You know what? Fuck. Screw your optics. Let's do it. You know.
Although I guarantee you that episode will get taken down
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll have to like take it off of YouTube and put it
somewhere else. That'll
Yeah.
go on. That'll be an episode that we do live and then immediately gets put on Substack.
Whoa. Isaac Young's going on Millennial this year?
Yes, he is. So is Steve Laws, and so are a few other friends.
Whoa!
It'll be a good time. I always tune into Millennial. It's just sort of a weekly. It's the yearly right wing streamathon that I do intend to watch because like last year's episode with Morgoth was just so.
Josh really Neal is on Millennial. Oh, I saw Josh Neal in chat. He has a new book out.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, we should. So yeah,
I have
will
ordered
buy
it.
that one.
I have ordered it.
Like I said, I bought the Keith Woods book, and I will buy the Josh Neal one. The best of DA episodes, the ones we get immediately redacted.
There is only one episode of DA that has been immediately redacted, and it will come back shortly.
It's technically 2. Oh yeah. Yeah. The one that I had, the one that I took down, I brought back up because that was a total optics disaster.
Was that the one with Dimes?
Yeah, the one with Blood Satellite. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was such a good time.
The PCM Christ video comes out tomorrow, the content minded episode, and as I always do it, more than half public, half paywall. So, I mean, more than half public, then the rest paywalled. So, it's a great one. We go in a deep dive into his new novel, Giving Up the Ghost. So, be on the lookout tomorrow, Saturday, for that episode. But anyways, yeah, any more super chats?
Oh yeah, there's definitely a few more. Robert Reisenfeld says Keith Woodson just what was Zionist. Find out more. In all seriousness, great fun, great stream tonight. Well, thank you, Robert. I appreciate it. Port Film Co-op says AA on an 8-hour episode of War Strike would be cool. I would love to watch what I don't know if he would stay the whole 8. Oh, he probably could. He's done 4-hour shows before, but I think he gets tired out. But it'd be an interesting thing to watch, to say the least. And then back over to
brought Emily Eucharist on. That'd be amazing.
Would we get in trouble if we brought her on?
I'm not going to say anything in public but anyways, no, I say that. But Emily Eucharist does a show with Warren separately. I think it's called Politics. Something. Fuck! I can't believe I forget.
I just want to interview about the meme game. That would be more or less my keen interest. But anyways, there's one last one over on Entropy, and Capitalissimo says, Tom Homan's single manly tear as he denies Gio's asylum application Groiper.
Oh my god! Oh, that's terrible.
That's really
terrible.
Funny.
Yeah, it's called Modern Politics.
Modern Politics.
Modern Politics. Yeah.
Sorry, I just read chat and I just laughed my ass off on that.
Oh my god, terrible.
What's DA's equivalent of AA's Weimar stream? I don't think we've had it yet.
No.
I don't think we've had it yet. I think our most viewed episode still to this date is a very early one. I think it was episode 9 or 10 when we had... No, it was episode 10 when we had Dave the Distributist on. I don't know if we've gotten close to topping that in view count, but
Ben Boyce one did numbers.
Ben Boyce took a clip of it and like a 45-minute clip of it and posted it on his channel, which helped us.
Did he?
Well. Yeah, he did because he tagged us in the video.
Oh shit! I think I've read that notification somewhere, but I don't know, man. Between traveling and then I had this.
And I need to get. I've realized I don't want to do it, but I need to put up my ring light again because all of the lamps. I have my overhead fan and the lamp and the light there, and I have a lamp on my computer desk and a lamp by my bookshelf, and they're all the same yellow warm light, like candle light, which
makes you look like you have jaundice.
And it makes it look like I have jaundice, and it doesn't help with these white walls that I need to like decorate. And it's just like, okay, I got to fix that shit. But anyways, I'm probably going to go live in a little bit after this show for a game night stream as per usual. And then I will have this month's episode of the Discourse Corner out. I am finally doing the long-awaited Halo rant, although I'm doing it a little more stylized. I'm not going to do it unscripted and such. I have an article today out in the Old Glory Club that is literally called the Anti-Fascist ARG. Highly recommend reading it. I pulled a lot of it off of one of those things. No, I'm not getting one of those fat GF tapestries for my walls. No. I will. What I will probably do is, and I have one. I actually have a version of it. I'm going to buy Owen Cyclops's framed work that he has of the Orthodox saints of North America. So that'll probably just go on my wall behind me. Although right now it's an icon of Christ and my guardian angel. So yeah, we'll see. I could be really mean. We have these like little banner things and overlays that we could do. Like,
Yeah.
I could start doing this and be a real asshole, but I don't do that.
Can we hit the goal?
Yeah, I hate that.
Can we hit the goal?
That would just kill me.
Can we hit the goal to pay the lawyer on retainer so I can see Xander again? That I don't get behind glass so I can fly to Miami to see Xander.
You're having a real good time with that, aren't you, Gio?
I know. Like, can we hit the goal? The goal is everything. The goal is a metaphysical experience.
I could get a second monitor, Sean. I just need to get this. I would need a different desk.
Gio's finally fully letting the DSP out of him. Yeah, that's true. No, but do you want to know the deep lore? Wait, Miami Virtue, is that true? That there's CCTV footage of Oh my god, I wonder if that's even true, or if Miami Virtue is just making that up. But anyways, do you want to know the deep lore on why I say it is what it is all the time? Apart from me, my acquiescent character, but I don't know if I should say this. It's kind of personal.
It's up to you, man.
You want to know the deep lore? Press 1 in the chat if you want to know the deep lore. Press 2 if you don't want to know the deep lore. You're going to get a bunch of ones, I guarantee you.
You're going to get ones. I mean, you've already brought it up. You're either going to bring it up or you're just going to tease
Okay. One time, this was years ago. This is almost like 10 years ago. Me and my best friend in real life, we were watching the Joseph Campbell documentary called World Spirit. I think it's called World Spirit. And we were taking a certain substance that grows in dung and on trees. And we kept saying that because he was talking about the manifold heads of Shiva. And so we both kept saying it, me and Josh, we both kept saying it over and over and over again. It is what it is. Life, it is what it is. And we just kept saying it like a mantra. And so nowadays, when I end like a sort of like an operatic point, let's call it, I always say that for some reason instinctually, it is what it is, because of that one heroic dose of certain organic substance. So that's the deep Gio lore and why I say it is what it is all the time.
Cool. Gio did shrooms.
Yeah.
Good to know.
You've never done?
No, I mean, I've done pot and
that's it. Okay.
Pot and speed, but that would be about it.
You've done speed? Holy crap! I'm too afraid to do that.
Not things I'm particularly proud of, Gio, but yes, I have done some drugs in the past. And I'm very glad that the Lord Almighty has decidedly made me sober more or less for the rest of my life.
I've only done weed and shrooms. I think I did it.
Now I take even worse drugs that will slowly kill me over time.
Oh god.
I take poison to live.
Hey man, that prednisone's no joke, man. My old man.
Oh, I take something way stronger than prednisone.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I take some hardcore immunosuppressants to live. Oh, yes, sir. God.
My old man was...
Prednisone is just one drug of many I take every 12 hours to live.
Oh, God. But
if you ever want to have fun, go look up what Prograf does to your body.
Oh, shit, you take that?
Yeah.
Whoa!
Along with my Fortic. Like, have fun looking that shit up and the side effects.
How do you do 3-hour streams every week? How do you go to your job?
You fucking grin and bear it, dude.
Like, holy shit.
Man, you want to talk about it is what it is. Yeah. I take poison to live. that will eventually cause the new kidney to stop working, and then eventually I'll just go back on dialysis again. That's how it works. But, you know, I've also thought about introducing a new gimmick to the Digital Archipelago, and I think viewers will appreciate it as we go on, because it has a very Dread Pirate Roberts kind of feeling.
Oh, Trump's going to give him amnesty. Did you see that?
Going to give who amnesty?
Dread Pirate Roberts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he promised he would do.
Well, he promised, but we'll
honestly
we'll see.
Giving him a life sentence.
He gives. I would hope that he gives genuinely the J6 people.
Yeah. Community
amnesty, because if not, like, oh, dude, there's gonna be some very disappointed, angry people that.
Oh yeah.
You should definitely be giving amnesty to, or a pardon, I should say, not amnesty.
You know, I mean, hopefully in the next 10 years they you know, like they probably, like, hopefully they'll have better, like, anti-rejection drugs. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, I mean,
yeah.
Whatever God wills. I'm just happy to be alive. The rest of my life is a penitent one, and as I've said, I don't plan on doing this forever. And Lord willing, in 5 years' time, I
hope we're
seminary
somewhere doing this.
Well, I don't.
What?
No,
that's crazy.
My end goal, Gio, is to not be doing the online stuff for much longer. I mean, in a few years' time, I'd hope to be in seminary. So yeah, I hope to not be doing this for forever.
Oh man, what am I gonna do?
I'm sure you will find another American straight man to do your laughing.
I can't though. I can't think of anybody.
Wow.
We'll cross that bridge.
We'll cross that. Well, thank you. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But
no, Prude. I'm not joking. Like, I was seriously thinking one day, I'm like, fuck, if like Prude has too many IRL obligations, who can I find? Who can be a co-host? I'm like, fuck, I can't really think of anybody. Like, honestly, like, generally, I was thinking for like a few hours. I'm like, I think while I was lifting weights, I was thinking about this. I was like, oh, who am I gonna do it? Like, it wouldn't work with anybody. I don't think. Maybe like. Who would it work? Like, if you could drop suggestions in the chat. No, you know what? Don't unleash that Urgagore.
Don't.
Like... oh God!
But anyways, Parker the person says thoughts on the Tyson Paul fight. We're not watching it. It's happening right now while we're live, so I have no commentary on it.
Well, we'll see it. We'll.
In like 5 years. Bruh moment in like 5 years.
Oh man.
In like 5 years.
BTR2 confirmed. Oh, that's brutal.
In like 5 years. I'm still gonna be here for another 5 years. Calm down.
I love how people they like the second I said that, they're like, Lev. Like, it was it's very funny. No, but I mean, like, I generally was thinking like, oh man, I can't really think of anybody.
It's Taylor. It's Taylor plus Serrano live right now. I did see the I saw some of this on Twitter about some of the fights that were going down.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess I'm gonna have to watch some of this stuff when I get off the air later tonight. But anyways, let's see here. Nothing else on entropy for now, and yeah, Parker, we haven't seen the fight, although I'm curious to see what happens. But yeah, no, we thank everyone for tuning in. We will be live next week at our regular scheduled programming time on Tuesday on Gio's channel for episode 109. You can make your jokes then. Yeah. And we'll see you all next week. But thank you so much for listening. This has been the last episode of the Digital Archipelago. This was a really great run. 108 episodes is a really long time to run a show. And we'll see you all next week. See you guys.
God, as I always say,